Welcome to Open Tables. With your hosts, Cynthia Sue Larson.
But it's okay for everybody to change. It's okay to let things go. And that's really powerful.
Christopher Anatra.
The universe is based on commerce. You know me as the quantum businessman.
Jerry Hicks.
I feel like I've woken up in a parallel dimension where everybody's exactly the same. They look the same memories generally speaking, but they're different.
And Shane Robinson.
Nobody has all the answers, so everybody's welcome to share their ideas, and it really expands our consciousness when we do that.
Open Tables. Unique perspectives for a new view of reality.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the International Mandela Effect Conference for June. This is Shifty History, ladies and gentlemen. We're glad to have all of you along for the ride. Thank you to everyone in chat. We appreciate you guys, as well as anyone watching after the broadcast. We appreciate every last one of you for being here. Thank you so much. Before we get started, we have to go through a little bit of legalese. I do apologize, folks. I know it's boring, but it'll only take a second. The content you are about to watch is meant for thought and consideration. Please be respectful of each other and opinions shared. This is a safe space to express thoughts, ideas, and information. Please note that no copyright infringement is intended with regard to inclusion of short excerpts of material that are included in accordance with fair use under Section 107 of the Copyright Act. Whew. All right, now that we've got that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have some fun this month. It is my honor and pleasure to be able to work with such an amazing group of people that I am now having the honor to introduce. I, of course, am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. And I've got an amazing dream team to bring on for you guys this month, folks. The same dream team we always work with, but you guys know they're amazing. First on the list, folks, is our friend Cynthia Sue Larson from RealityShifters.com with the big, beautiful American flags waving going into the 4th of July. I'm loving it. How you doing, Cynthia?
Awesome. So good to see you. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Early.
Happy 4th of July, and it's always a pleasure to have you here, Cynthia. Next up on our list is Shane Robinson, unbiased and on the fence. Shane, glad to see you here, my friend.
Good to be here.
And next we have Mr. Christopher Anatra. You know him as the quantum businessman. How are you doing, Chris?
Good. Hey, everybody.
Glad to have you here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the amazing team that is the International Mandela Effect Conference. Before we get started, we have a couple things in chat, folks, that I must touch on. We have had 2 donations. Oh, it disappeared on my chat now. Before we got started, there we go. She found them. Fa Q Then has donated 2 times, Canadian $5. He says there's a new body Mandela effect that has him shook. Ron here. I'm shook by a body change. Like the Coke Pop and a Kit Kat changes shook me. Unsettling. Body changes is visible, unlike kidneys. I love all of you for being my peer group, my normal. Thank you so much, Ron. We do appreciate the donations, and I'd like to hear what's got you so shook, my friend. This sounds intriguing to me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that said, we have a lot of fun this month. Let's go ahead and, yep, there we go. The show agenda, approximately 90 minutes. We always have a problem of hitting our 90-minute mark. Usually it's about double, so stick around. It's going to be fun. Labor Day weekend 2023 Mandela Effect Conference coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Huge in-person conference. The digital conferences are fun, but we are going to finally be able to get together again as a community. It is going to be amazing. We want to see all of you guys there. More information on that coming up momentarily. This month's sponsors will be after that, followed by the board member updates. How have everybody been doing this month? We'll get to hear from all of our amazing dream team here. And then we'll be speaking about plastic eating microbes. Apparently, there's something new in this world. This ought to be interesting. How about an electric car in 1910? That's right, folks. Your ears did not deceive you. Electric cars in 1910. Well, this is going to be an interesting episode indeed. We got some shifty history going on here. What is a Bellamy salute, and why was it important around the 4th of July? Ooh, this is going to be a good one. Imperial Roman city uncovered. I love when they find things like that. Where did the Titanic sink? Where did the Titanic sink, folks? Where do you remember it? No cheating, no Googling. Where do you remember it? What is purple honey? Oh, this is going to be fun. I can't wait to find out about the purple honey or the orange human blood. Orange human blood. Wow. You guys might want to check out the Patreon for more information on that one. Hint, hint. The Emmy chatbot after that, and followed by the mailbag and the questions and answers at the end. We've got a whole lot to cover and a little bit of time to get there. So let us roll on through. Let's get started. Labor Day weekend 2023, ladies and gentlemen, September 2nd to the 4th, Branford, Connecticut, home of the International Mandela Effect Conference. This is our headquarters. We are holding the 3rd annual International Mandela Effect Conference. Now, the 3rd annual in person, I guess, basically conference. We had the big digital one in 2020, but we do our mini conferences every month, but this is going to be the huge get together that we're going to finally be able to have, because the world has gained some amount of sanity, it would seem. So what are we looking at here, Cynthia? This is gorgeous.
Yeah, this is gorgeous. This is the Branford Library, and it looks like a possibility if once we get our attendance up to a certain level, which we're working in that direction. So as soon as you can buy your tickets, then it helps to ensure that we can book this facility sooner. And we definitely are looking forward to that.
This is going to be absolutely amazing. How will people, Chris, get information on how to join us in this conference as a guest first?
Well, I'm sure we're going to have a link in the description below. And there's an Eventbrite page they can go to purchase their tickets. And also on our website, there's information they can find. There's a drop down for our in-person conferences area, and they can also access that same information there. And we did put out 2 videos, both for attendees and another one for speakers.
Let me stop you real quick, Chris. IMEC.world is the website to go to. That is our website, IMEC.WORLD, IMEC.world. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I hit the brakes already. So.
Oh, okay. I thought I was interrupting you there. I want to make sure you didn't have something else to throw in there on us.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, to people to get like more up to speed with that, we go each video that we put together is about 15 minutes. So if people want to get more up to speed about attending the conference or becoming a speaker at the conference, I recommend watching those videos. They're up on our IMEC channel. I also posted them on my personal Quantum Businessman channel on YouTube. So all the information is there as well.
And if you are interested in being a speaker, or if you know somebody who you think would be a great idea for a speaker at the International Mandela Effect Conference, because folks, we don't have time to watch every channel on YouTube. We don't know everybody that's out there. So if you guys have a suggestion, send them our way. Have them fill out an application. We would love to have you guys as speakers. We are not, picking and choosing just that person, just Moneybags or just Eva or just, we want everybody. We want to hear from all sides, from scientists to paranormal researchers to authors to anyone who's interested in the Mandela Effect. Anybody who's interested. We want to hear you guys. We want to hear what you think. We'd love to have you as a speaker at the International Mandela Effect Conference, Branford, Connecticut, September 2nd to the 4th. 2023. The speaker form has been dropped into the chat in the YouTube. So if you're interested in that, do click on that button, save that. Like I said, if you know somebody who you think would be a great speaker, send it to them, have them apply. Make sure you click on that link in the chat once again, or check us out at imec.world, IMEC.WORLD. The Eventbrite page has also been posted in the chat, and I'm sure will be posted in the details section of this video. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited for. I know you guys are. You guys excited for September?
Yes, really
Absolutely.
excited.
Yeah.
Do make sure you book your hotel rooms and all the travel and things you're going to need early, as they are going to be filling up very quickly.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to mention, like, related to that, a lot of some of the hotels in the area have already been booked. So for people that are looking for a place to stay, the next best thing is probably an Airbnb. So keep that in mind for those of you that are interested in attending.
And there you go, folks. You better hurry. The hotels are already booking out. So it's a limited time. You got to make sure you get yours. We would love to have every last one of you guys in the community there. I want to see the entire community there. I do. I want to see everybody who is studied and interested in the Mandela Effect. I want so many people there. They have a whole nother town's worth of people. Okay. I want us to take over this town in a good way. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, with that said, let us move on to our sponsors for the conference this month. The black-veined white butterfly from London, last listed in Britain in 1925, extinct for 100 years. This is quite amazing. You guys know I have a certain place in my heart for these Lazarus animals. Recently has been observed in small numbers on the outskirts of London. How you like that, folks? Experts believe that the butterflies were likely released intentionally, although the motives and individuals responsible remain unknown. So before we roll the video on this, Cynthia, what do you think about this? This is crazy.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I think some of the details here are quite telling. When you say something's been extinct for 100 years and then now they're suspecting people might be bringing them back. How on earth do you bring something back from 100 years gone? I mean, that's quite a tall order. If I was to give a team of biologists that assignment, I think people would say, like, I can't do it. I just can't imagine people's feeling like they're able to do something like this. Unless it's CRISPR technology, but I don't think anything like that was involved. I don't know, genetic tinkering. So it's a mystery, and it reminds me of the time that we had in one of our episodes, and I'd love to find out which one. I was looking for it recently, can't find it. So if any of you guys can find this, please put it in the chat, put it in the comments. There was a biologist that said, all we have to do now is recreate the environment and an extinct species will return. I'd never heard a biologist talking that way before until the Mandela effect, until, things are really hitting that tipping point where we are seeing, for example, some of the species kind of creeping back, like the Tasmanian tiger and so forth, the dodo bird. They're kind of moving closer. Their extinction is moving closer to our time. And so I think this is super, super interesting.
I remember that show where we read that quote of the biologist speaking about how they just recreate the environment and the species just tend to reappear.
Right. I hope we can still find that comment because I hope it hasn't vanished. So seriously, if anyone can find it, please either email me, email us at team@imec.world, put it in the comments or the chat here.
That would be awesome because I do remember that episode. Shane, what do you think about this beautiful butterfly that has come back?
Well, I love it because it reminds me of my little butterfly doodle up there. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I'll pass it on to Chris on this one.
Yeah, I was going to say, so this butterfly is black and white. Okay, so when I tune into it, to me, it reminds me of something that we're all doing behind the scenes, which is integrating our light side and our shadow side, because we all have a light side, we all have a shadow side. It's just the way it is in a duality, the duality world that we live in. And I've also been noticing, like on my way here to my office the other day, I passed all these black and white ducks. Now, normally I don't see ducks that are black and white, but I've been observing them more and more in my reality. And my last name, Anatra, in Italiano, means duck. So I'm the resident duck expert on the panel today. There's also another kind of duck called the loon. And the loon comes out at night, and you can find them in the northern United States and Canada. They have a very beautiful, distinctive call, which is actually a type of light language. I always remember them being black with like a white marking. Now they're all like black and white. They still have the white marking around their neck, and their head is black, but their bodies are black and white. And if anyone has ever watched the Looney Tunes, Daffy Duck is a loon. He's Daffy and he's a duck. So he's
wow,
a loony bird, or, in a loony bin, or a lunatic, or however you want to put that together. So yeah, a lot of people don't realize like what type of animal Daffy Duck is based off of. He's based off the loon. So I've been noticing more of these. We always talk about the golden mandanimals and the pure white mandanimals and all the different colors of the rainbow mandanimals. So it could be that this is the start of an influx of something that's recommending, or that's showing us like what we're doing to integrate, so that we can move on to like the next level. So just wanted to throw that aspect out there.
And I believe we have a video on this here in just a second. It will queue up. I find it incredible that these things are just reappearing again. Lazarus animals. It's almost like they're coming back to our timeline, or we're rolling into a new timeline where they never disappeared. From our perspective, they're new, they're back. But if we're moving timelines, if that be the case, then they've always been here. We're just seeing them because we're now here.
Yeah.
Like I can't see New York from where I sit, but I get closer to New York, I'm going to be able to see it. That kind of concept. And we have the video ready to play. Go ahead, producer.
And we can talk over it too. There's no.
Mysterious sightings of an extremely rare butterfly have sparked excitement among enthusiasts. An extremely rare butterfly.
Well, now it's rare. It used to be extinct.
Last listed in 1925 in Britain. So we come upon 2025, and this thing is coming back to reality. It just happens to be within what we're seeing to be a golden age of humanity.
Yes.
And butterflies have always been quite a symbol spiritually, right, Chris?
Yeah, I don't.
Transformation. It goes through the chrysalis phase. So this is an organism that has many different phases. It starts as a caterpillar, and then
Metamorphosis.
it metamorphosizes. So it goes into a chrysalis. There's a pupae phase, and then when it emerges, it's a whole new way to see the world. It has a dimensional shift as well, because it goes from like traversing XY coordinates, and suddenly it's airborne. It's up in the air. It's flying. So it's just like flying dreams, lucid dreaming. It has a tremendous connection with our spiritual evolution.
I love that.
It's
They're
huge.
Beautiful too.
This
I love
big
seeing them
symbol.
fly around. Yeah.
And these Lazarus species remind us of Nelson Mandela, who's not the first one that came back to be alive again. People would say Jesus Christ was one of the first, if not the first, but there's been a lot of celebrities, and that's what I was tracking early in the 1999 period when I started my website, looking at celebrities like Larry Hagman, who returned from being dead, and then he was alive again. So this is a huge part of the Mandela effect. We don't tend to make it into a big, huge part, but it really is. So it's worth honoring it every time this happens, when a whole species comes back.
Thank God it didn't get called the Hagman effect. Could you imagine?
No, not so good. No offense to Larry Hagman and his wonderful family.
It just doesn't roll off the tongue the same. It just don't.
Instead
love
of
Larry Hagman though.
Instead of the me, it'd be the he.
The he, right?
Oh, that's hilarious. No, that's not going to work.
Yeah, no.
The H-E.
That's a
One
good
little
one.
thing can change so much.
Right? Let's hope we don't fall into that reality. That's going to get weird.
Right.
And speaking of weird, let's see what our next sponsor is for today, the white panda. Now, this is weird indeed, I guess. I had thought about this when we first started talking about it. I said, white panda, that's not strange. And the more I get thinking about it, I don't think I've ever seen a panda that isn't black and white. The world's only all-white panda has been recorded on camera, nonetheless, at the Wolong National Nature Reserve in China. IMEC Geo Trail.
What?
I heck instead of IMEC. I heck.
Oh my gosh. This is not good. That's like some twisted alternate reality. We could do it for April Fools.
You know what? That's not a bad idea. Actually, I like that.
People say, "What's going on?"
Our April Fool's episode, we go from IMEC to I heck. That's right.
Thank you for that, Geo Trail. That's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
Oh, I love it. This Now, that's what makes this team so amazing. We can laugh and have a great time out of the blue. The one-of-a-kind bear on screen has no spots of his body and unique red eyes, leading scientists to conclude that it is albino. Now, leading scientists to conclude, so they're not even sure, right?
It's one of a kind, so. And thanks to Alicia for sending this one in to us. We actually have a video we can roll that we can talk over.
Let's see it. Yeah.
So this will take just a second to come up on screen here. There we go, and roll with it. So here you are, ladies and gentlemen.
It's almost like a panda, a polar panda or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I was telling Alicia in the email.
It does, doesn't it? Looks like a polar bear.
But cute and tiny.
Yeah.
Climbing
Cute
trees.
and tiny, I give you that. Oh, look at him. He's adorable. For those that may be listening and not have the ability to look at the screen, we're literally looking at a panda, same size you would see as a regular, like, black and white panda, but there's no black on this thing at all. It is completely white. A little brownish tint. I'm not sure if that's from the scenery around it reflecting or the camera or what the case is, but it don't have any black like you would expect on a panda.
Yeah, I think it's just the snow is so white that it makes it look more golden or something. But see the pandas, they look pretty normal there.
Mom and dad look like normal pandas. Looks like brother or sister beside it looks like a normal panda, but it is snow white.
The regular pandas have the black fur around the eyes, the black ears, and black little vest.
Pretty neat. Pretty neat.
Yeah. It's super
That is
cool.
astonishing. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The Mandela has brought us a one-of-a-kind bear, panda bear with no spots and red eyes. So not sure if it's an albino. It's definitely unique and something you don't see every day. And it is our second sponsor for this month's Mandela Effect Conference. And let's roll on through to the third sponsor for this month. A very rare, once again, sticking with the rare theme. We got a lot of rare in the sponsors. We usually do. The rare jellyfish. This is what might just be the rarest jellyfish in the world that you ladies and gentlemen are looking at right now. And for those looking, for those not, it looks like a reddish orange ball with lines.
Looks like fishing gear almost, doesn't it?
It does look like fishing gear. What was it? Tentacles maybe coming out the top of that, like 3 different tentacles coming off. That is interesting. A species seen only once before. Wait a second. This jellyfish is so rare, only one other human in history has seen this thing, at least reportedly. It was just spotted again back in May. Shane, you got some information about this? Special thanks to Alicia for sending this in.
Yeah, it was first spotted just back in May. So this was just spotted again here this month, and we actually have some video we can roll on this one. This actually has some sound too.
So it was first spotted in May, and then it's spotted again recently, you said that. Okay, so I messed that up. My apologies.
Okay.
Do we have audio on this particular one? Ah.
Marine biologists with the Ocean Exploration Trust. And this is what might just be the rarest jellyfish in the world, a species only ever seen just once before. It was spotted just back in May, and because it has only been observed twice, it still hasn't been named. In fact, this was the reaction of the marine researchers when they first spotted it.
What is that?
Wow.
Beautiful.
Look at
Can
this.
I do a little zoom about that?
Wow.
Never seen anything like that.
The creature was observed in an extremely remote area of the ocean, 4,800 miles away from the Australian coast. Marine life experts say this jellyfish is quite unique, as its tentacles are more rigid and arm-like. With research scientists with the Japan Agency for Marine Earth Science and Technology, Dr. Dougal Lindsay saying about it, quote, "This is extremely rare for a jellyfish, as they are normally radially splittable into pizza slices, with even rather than odd numbers." Dr. Lindsay adds that they believe it might eat bioluminescent prey, as their body coloration would mask any light being emitted by the prey as it struggles under the bell or is digested within the stomach.
Sounds like a vicious little thing there.
Cool, isn't it, though? Wow.
Wow.
That is disturbing. I mean, beautiful. Disturbing.
And it almost seems like they're calling it a jellyfish. I don't know what really makes a jellyfish a jellyfish, but they were saying about all the things that didn't quite match the typical jellyfish. So it sounds like it's an alien.
And it looks a little like a alien sci-fi, lander. Like it looks like a spaceship.
Yeah.
Like this thing just landed.
You know, of all the places that I would expect to find in, quote, alien life on Earth, it is the ocean for two reasons. Number one, it makes up the majority of this planet. Number two, we have evidence already of the octopi who is questionably earthbound originally, and the idea that meteorites could literally bring in life in egg form that's smashed or that's clumped within the meteorite material. Once it hits the Earth and opens up, you have the egg released back into the sea, and to the animal, it's no different than their home world, you know.
Yeah, it reminds me too of the alien creatures in the sci-fi film Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise, except they had more arms and can get around on land very quickly. So, yes, this is really interesting. And Earth really is a melting pot of all different types of species. It's really amazing.
Ron says, tastes like shrimp.
And Ron, again, with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Ron. Yeah, it was not ignoring. I just wanted to get the conversation through there. Again, tastes like shrimp, says Ron. We really appreciate that. Any guys who would like to donate, we are a charitable organization. We are a tax write-off for you, basically. So you donate to us, it is a tax write-off. You feel free to hit us up with the super stickers, the super chats, or you can even become a Patreon member and get access to our special green room series that we do there, then only on Patreon. So many ways to support the Mandela Effect Conference here, guys. And like I said, we are a charitable 501c3 organization, so any donations is tax deductible. We appreciate every donation you guys give us. Everything you guys put in goes right back into doing the conferences like we have it coming up in September. So by and for you guys, we're just a conduit by which it's done. And with that said, back to the show.
Yeah, let's go to the back to the comments. Rocky, the Flying Squirrel, says it's a lamp from the 1960s.
Yeah, it's just floating on the current. That's all.
It does kind of have that lantern look too. But,
it's interesting also because scientists have not assigned it a name yet.
Yeah,
I was reading, it's classified as undescribed because it has no name or detailed description by any researchers. The species has only ever been seen once before in 2015 by an expedition. So yeah, it doesn't even have a name yet.
No, well, Will Decent has some good ideas here in the chat. Yeah. Looks like a jack-o'-lantern. Happy Jelloween,
says Greenheart.
Good one.
Thank you so much for that, Will.
That's great. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, that's about it.
Bob wants to know who was Larry Hagman.
He's an actor that was in the TV show I Dream of Jeannie and also Dallas. So it was right after he'd starred in Dallas.
He was JR?
It was J.R. Ewing, right?
Right. Okay.
And I clearly remember that he had gone in for some kind of a surgery and then died either in the surgery or shortly after. It was kind of, it was sad. I wasn't a huge fan, but I felt like that was sad news. I was certain that I'd seen it on TV, in the newspapers, magazines. And then some short while later, he was back again. And I was like, what? This is in the 1980s. And I was wondering, wait a minute, how do you die and then just bounce back from from like a surgical disaster? But he was back.
Was this during Dallas? Like,
it was after he'd been in Dallas for some time. So I heard about it in the he was on in Dallas in the mid 80s. And so it was like, I don't remember what year. I think the history it showed he had gone in for the surgery, but he'd survived it, which was the shocking part to me. Because no, he died, but I'm glad he's alive again. Now he's dead again, I think.
And since this topic keeps coming up, this alive again topic, Cynthia,
Yes.
You were actually an alive again to some people, correct?
That's right. And that's very interesting. I'm still hearing some trickling in reports where people tell me how they heard about it. Recently, I got a comment on YouTube this last week, and that was a subscriber who said she's glad I'm back, and she remembers that she'd received an email from my newsletter, I think around 2017, from my husband saying that I passed away. So another one chiming in how she heard about it, and she's really grateful that I'm still here. So am I. But it's interesting to be on the inside of it. I think that the whole thing is really interesting. So I find it quite fascinating.
It's definitely something that is not your everyday phenomena, though it's becoming more frequent within our community, I guess.
Yeah. And some people think we all died, like in 2012. There are people that have been suggesting that theory for quite some time, starting with some physicists. I think Nick Bostrom was one of the first that suggested that. Quantum immortality theory, basically, is what it's called.
Well, I will tell you one finding I did have. If you take the Earth where we have it right now at its size, and
Yes.
if you move it along where the path is supposed to move down this arm and where it's headed into the Sagittarius arm where it connects.
Yes.
If you fast forward the time, the Earth would expand. And by the time it got there, it would look and feel like the Earth we remember.
Whoa.
The expansion would have made it enough so that everything would have been spread out correctly over that amount of time that it would take to move along the galaxy arm. And by the time it reached a place we remember it being to begin with, it would look like we remember it looking.
That would be cool to do that as a visual, just to show it graphically. I'd love to see that.
Right. I'm gonna have to see if I can do that. I'm not the best graphic guy.
Well, now you've got AI to help you. Yeah, some of the artificial intelligence graphic assistant tools. They're getting better.
I have to see what me and the rabbit can come up with.
Cool.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So let us get back into our slide deck before we lose our way here and get off into the real deep woods. What about a sunfish? You guys like sunfish, right? Everybody's seen the sunfish in the aquariums, right? Little bitty things, cute things, right?
Usually
Right.
small. Yes. Yeah.
Use a little small fish you'd buy at your local pet store and put in your aquarium. However, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to present to you now a sunfish the size of which you have never heard before. At least I hadn't. In 2019, a large gray blob was spotted on the shores of Santa Barbara's Coal Oil Point Reserve in Southern California. This is over in Cynthia's neighborhood. It was massive. At almost 7 foot long and close to 600 pounds. That is a sunfish that is not going to fit in your aquarium in your living room. The massive creature was a hoodwinker sunfish, first discovered in 2017, within the time frame of the Mandela Effect ranking up. As a matter of fact, the Mandela Effect was in huge full force as far as research goes, I know, in 2017, because I was one of them leading the charge on the research in 2017. So, ladies and gentlemen, the massive white hoodwinker sunfish. This is mind-boggling, team. What in the world? This is crazy.
Yeah, I think it's amazing to find these massive animals that we should have known about them before, and now apparently again it's new. Like that tiny little jellyfish, you can kind of explain well. It's 145 miles off the coast of Australia. It's out in the ocean. Of course, nobody saw it. It's down deep, whatever. But this is like, why haven't we seen this before? And it's not like it's small enough to hide. I've never seen a sunfish this big. It's ginormous.
It looks like a spaceship.
Right. And if you see a human next to it, a human is like the size of like that lower dorsal fin. It's just like tiny. It reminds me of the coelacanth, which is one of those first Lazarus species to come back that has supposedly, we'd been told, was long extinct. And then we keep kind of finding more and more of those. And those things are huge too, very big. But this, I think, might be even bigger. 600 pounds is really big.
You saw that gray blob coming around in the water there. You assume it was a shark or something. You wouldn't think it's a sunfish. You know what I mean? Like, is that a shark or a whale or at least a dolphin or something bigger?
This is kind of terrifying, just from the size of the scale of it.
This is gargantuan.
It's like the mothership of sunfish.
And I don't know who named it Hoodwinker, but Chris, this reminds me of the mustachioed horses that you were finding recently.
Right, exactly.
It's like, kind of like a joke, like a hoodwinker. Like, got it? Maybe it's another tourist species. Like that was the working theory with the mustachioed horses, right? That if you want to be an observer in the game.
And it's right. And this is something too, because I'm like wondering, what do these things eat to grow to be 600 pounds? And their diet consists of other fish and squid and other things like that. So yeah, they're definitely consuming a lot of food too, just to get to that size.
Right.
And stay at that size.
So we're talking about a meat-eating sunfish.
Yeah, we are. It's eating other live creatures. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So is that different too from a regular sunfish? Is the diet different? Good question. If it is, then it's like, because we've got deer and giraffes eating meat now that I don't remember used to eat. I didn't remember that omnivorous.
I'm pretty
quality.
sure you don't feed sunfish minnows. Just saying.
Actually, it says a sunfish's favorite food is jellyfish.
Okay.
And I know they're tiny jellies and stuff like that. They could eat.
Yeah.
So the problem was the sunfish had ate all the rare jellies. That's why we didn't see any till now. That's the one surviving rare jelly that the huge sunfish missed.
Right. They do also eat plankton and algae, so it's not just
it's omnivorous, not just carnivorous.
But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Sponsor number 4, the white hoodwinker sunfish, who may be hoodwinking you into thinking it's a fish. Perhaps it's actually an observer from another realm. We don't know. We will continue to research.
Wait till it comes up with the mustache. When it gets the mustache, then we'll know. Okay.
Then we'll know for sure, unquestionably.
Thank you, Luis, for sending this in.
Yeah, thanks.
And I have a feeling, ladies and gentlemen of the team, that we're going to be receiving emails now of fish with mustaches next month.
Did you guys remember that fish that had like the human teeth?
Yes.
You guys see that photo, right? So yeah.
Super creepy.
And that was real. I thought that was like a Photoshop thing. But real fish.
Crazy.
It still would not be the strangest thing of the day. Catfished, says fuck you then. Another spaceship, says Greenheart. Yeah, another spaceship reference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Comedy Hour, says Omega Man. You mess with the International Mandela Effect Conference, you will definitely be splitting your side from laughing too hard. And with that said, folks, we have a great time here. We always have a great. Could you imagine? This is how much fun we have online. Wait till you get us in person. It's a blast. It's a heck of a ball. I'm telling you, I've experienced it. It's something that you definitely got to experience yourself. if you would like. And you can only experience that in person one time this year. That is going to be September 2nd to the 4th in Branford, Connecticut for the International Mandela Effect Conference. Make sure you get your tickets. And if you want to be a speaker, make sure you fill out an application. All right. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, team, for letting me have that little moment there for advertisement. Carry on back to the slide deck in the albino echidna. So I only found this out a little while back when the Sonic movie come out. I found out that the Sonic the Hedgehog character Knuckles, for those that may not know, is the creature called the echidna. Before that, I had never heard of this creature, but I'm not an expert in all animals, so I'll take that. But an albino echidna, so this is our second albino on the list today, has been spotted on the road in the Bathurst region, wherever that may be. The local council has asked people to keep their distance and not interfere with the creature. Wildlife organizations Wires says albino echidnas are not common. This is one strange looking little dude, team. What do you guys got?
Well, it looks like another protector species, or it's protector animal because it's an individual, but the white coloration, we didn't get into that with our other white panda, but clearly these are protectors, even if they're just the albino variation. And it seems like there's, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say Bathurst, there's in New South Wales. So another one from that same area.
Australia.
Oh, New South Wales. Okay, Australia. Different.
Yeah, New South Wales, Australia, opposed to regular Wales.
New Wales.
So close to that jellyfish with this. Yeah.
You know, for those that don't know, it's also called the spiny anteater. It's closely related to the platypus.
Wow.
And it lays eggs.
What?
Yeah, it's an egg layer. It lays these leathery eggs, and that's where its offspring come from. So
wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So there's definitely a message here. We have a lot of transformational creatures here. Very interesting.
Online, it says that along with the platypus, the echinida is the only other living egg-laying mammal species. Almost a month after mating, the female deposits a single soft-shelled, leathery egg into her pouch.
Wow.
Very, very fascinating.
So it's also got a pouch like a marsupial then.
Yeah.
That is fascinating. This must be another one of those creatures that God had a boring day and just kind of threw something together, right? Like the duck-billed platypus that it's related to. Fuck you then, once again, for another Canadian $5. Thank you again. Fuck you then. Mr. Ron says, hecklefish is cool. Hecklefish is cool. Anybody who's seen the YouTube channel, the Y-Files, will know who the hecklefish is.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Hecklefish, he's one of my favorites. Him and I think a lot alike. Another from the chat real quick. I'd like to hit up real quick. Green Heart says, I saw an echidna when I was in the bush. I was so excited I screamed and it freaked out and ran and hid behind a tree. Did it run and hide behind a tree or did you? I'm not sure. But seriously, that at least it's not like an aggressive creature, right? At least it's timid and will kind of run and hide as opposed to coming at you and jumping in your face or something. But there we go, ladies and gentlemen, the albino echidna, an incredibly strange creature that is most likely here as a protector. Beautiful it is, but I'm not sure about the albino. I don't see the red eyes. Hold on. I can't tell if those are red or not.
And is that pokey like a porcupine, or is that too much gel?
I think there's a long guard hairs. Yeah, too much gel.
Greenhearts of the echidna head, by the way. They actually re-referenced there. Apologies, he, she, I don't know. So they actually referenced back there. So sponsor number 6, moving on. Sponsor number 6. Do we have a... sponsor 6.
Of
We
course.
do have a sponsor 6. Here we go. A beaver back from extinction after 400 years. But there's a caveat here, right, Chris? This isn't back from extinction as we would think of it, right?
Yes, it's in a different part of, I believe, England, or Cynthia, do you know?
Yeah, Wales. So it's part of the United Kingdom, and it's a little bit to the north and to the west of London. So it's where Princess Diana and now King Charles used to be, Prince and Princess of Wales. And it's this beautiful, lush countryside, lots of trees. I've been there, but I never saw a beaver there. This particular rodent is really large. So it's important that it's come back from extinction. And after 400 years, to have one show up in Wales, that's a big deal. Seems very positive, a very good signal. And I think it's interesting for the people that found it in their backyard, because apparently it's doing what beavers do, and that may not be fun when it's in your backyard and somebody's stripping bark and removing tree branches and such. I don't know what it's doing, but logging operations.
Yeah, it looked like taking some pretty big chunks out of the tree in some of the pictures.
That looks like a mugshot on the left.
He looks totally busted, doesn't he? He's like, yeah, it's me.
If you've seen this creature, be very, very careful. He is armed and dangerous.
I think that when it showed up in their garden, they were wondering what's going on, what's doing this. I think maybe they set up a trail cam. I don't think that was a person out in the dark taking the pictures.
Yeah, I was just looking, as we're talking, I was looking up some other information, and it says that this beaver was last seen in the wild in Britain, in Wales, in the 16th century after being hunted for its pelt.
Right.
They had all but died out across Europe by the 18th century.
400 years ago, this was found in Wales.
Yeah.
Going on 500. If it was the 18th century, that's in the 1700s. So that's, wow.
Well, that's as far as Europe goes.
Yeah.
In Britain, by the end of the 16th century, they didn't see them anymore.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
More than 400 years sounds like, but wow, this is huge. Another triumphant return, back from gone, and inexplicably.
I wonder if it has orange teeth. Remember that beavers can have orange teeth.
Right.
It goes back to the whole Earth fixing herself. So you have a beaver, a protective species that's known as a protector species spiritually, believe it or not, the beaver, because of the dams they build and the protection that they allow with those dams is why they've got that. But that goes into my next point. You have lots and lots and lots of trees in Wales, probably a lot of issues with rivers and wildlife and woodland and whatnot. So you have the beaver coming back that's going to take down some of these trees, some of these old forest trees, some of the older stuff for renewal of the land. You've got a creature coming in that's literally going to help turn the land over to a new version of itself, an earth cleaner, if you will.
They can influence the microclimates of the environment where they live, because they're capable of obviously creating those dams. So taking a small creek or a stream and changing the watershed area. So expanding the amount of time the water stays in a certain region, and it can become much more lush thanks to beaver's presence. Now, that's different, of course, if it's your backyard, but but when it's in the wild, it's quite helpful.
So I train them to be landscapers.
Yeah.
Right. I find that incredibly fascinating, though. This is a theme we're seeing over and over and over in these shows, is these animals that have the ability from a micro level to a macro level to alter and re-influence the environment in different ways, right?
Yeah, this is a terraforming rodent.
We've seen quite a bit of the terraformers coming back in our reality. It is absolutely amazing. Mother Earth is fixing herself back up with all of the damage humans are causing from global warming and whatnot. And whatever other tagline that the politicians can come up with. Anyway,
Yeah.
moving along with that, ladies and gentlemen, do we have any more sponsors? What's up next? Let's wild card this. What's up next, producer? Oh, there we go. IMEC board member updates. So before we jump into that, one second, I would like to take and give a huge round of applause and a big thank you to our producer, Heather, in the background, who does such an awesome job. You seen her pop in the screen earlier, guys, for the audio for that video we showed. She does an amazing job. She keeps the whole operation running in the background. She keeps the screens running, puts us on screen. She's the one who controls all that, and she does an excellent job. So I have to shout her out every now and then. I know she gets red in the face every time I do it, and I do apologize. But she does incredible work, and I just have to point out the backbone, the backstage people that help us out a lot. They really keep the show going for us. So shout out to her. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, to bring up our board member updates and find out how our amazing dream team has been doing this month. Miss Cynthia, how has your month been, ma'am?
It's been awesome. I've been working on editing that book that I'd started back in 2019, and then it went on long hiatus with my long COVID recovery program. But now I'm back into editing it again. So that's exciting. Very exciting, actually. It's good to see it progressing and getting to a point where it's got the clarity one would expect of a real finished book. Editing is the key to writing. So any would-be writers out there, keep going, keep editing, and just polish it up till you feel like this is starting to look right for what you had in mind. And then my newsletter, of course, I've always got updates from that. And I just printed out to remind me what's going on. This is a picture of my hand holding a dime, and it's significant because I had a dream this last month it was an amazing lucid dream where I was on a train, kind of like a Hollywood ride. And the train was one singular train, and it split into two. I was on the train where it started acting really fun and you'd be looking at the scenery and you'd think, oh, that looks so pretty. I just want to check out that creek or have a picnic there. And you'd think that the train would stop, you're there. And I spent days, it was like a vacation in that dream. And then somehow at the end of the dream, it all just came back together. But in the dream, when I was vacationing at one of those little stops, I was swimming in a pool, and at the bottom of the pool, there was a dime down there. And the dime to me symbolizes working with God, with creative consciousness. And so it was significant that I found that dime in the dream. What's amazing is that I was still amazed with the dream and thinking about it. And then I'd walked back and forth in my front yard. There was no dime on the path the first few times I walked there. But on the third time when I walked by, there was a dime. Nobody dropped it. Nobody else was there. And that was exactly like the dime that I found in my dream. So to me, that kind of thing, when you get a specific personal message, it's super, super cool. Very, very highly relevant to what we're talking about with the Mandela effect, with consciousness, and with the way that we're co-creating. This is a lucid dream that we're living. And when you start recognizing that, you can start having a lot of fun with it. Don't need to be worried about the way things look, but you can be on that side of the train where it's fun. And what you're thinking about that you'd like to experience, it can happen. So it seemed like a very, very positive thing. And then I shared a time travel healing of personal trauma message that Melinda Iverson and I put together. It's so short, I'll just read it. I trust spirit to guide me through to a point in place and time, bringing the healing presence of genuine love and blessings, repairing lives and relationships for myself and all concerned. And then there are lots of really good reality shift stories. Had a great time talking with Ken on We Are All One podcast, and We Are One. And then lots of great reports. One of the most interesting, because we're on that theme with Lazarus and Alive Again. I got a report from Crystal, who had her friend alive again. She had seen a social media report that her friend had passed away. And not too long after, her friend was back. So I think these kinds of things are extremely interesting. Again, don't panic, don't freak out. Just don't panic if things seem like they're screwed up or not right. Just keep in mind things can change. They do all the time. How good can it get? So that's my quick little wrap up there.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't panic. I love it.
Yes.
Cynthia Sue Larson, once again, from realityshifters.com. And that's in your newsletter, right?
Yeah, that's in the newsletter. It's a monthly free newsletter. And it's on the website too, realityshifters.com.
There we go. That's what I was getting at. And again, I say this every month and I mean it. I get this in my email once a month, and it brings a smile to my face every time. It really does. I love reading it. I love everything it's got in it. It's absolutely amazing. You guys have got to, if you're not already, go subscribe. RealityShifters.com. One of the original Mandela Effect research site, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Thank you.
Shane Robinson, Mr. Unbiased and on the Fence. How are you doing this month, sir? What's going on in your world?
Oh, I'm doing great. I did want to go to the chat real quick and thank Fahudan for Heather $10. Heather, high five +5. Thank you. Thank you, Ron, for that. Appreciate you. And we do appreciate Heather so much. So yeah, I've had well, of course, the day before Father's Day, we had 100-mile-an-hour winds come through Tulsa here, and it knocked out our power for nearly a week. It came back on Friday afternoon, and so that kind of that kind of changed things up for us here. But other than that, working one-on-one with people, doing sessions, perspective sessions mainly, and working on some art for the IMEC t-shirt for one thing, the upcoming conference. I've been doing that artwork, and I had to put it on hold while the electric was off, but I'm really excited about that piece and showing that off, and that'll be available at the conference. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, besides that, I've kind of put music and stuff on hold for the time being, but everything can be found over at my YouTube channel, which is Unbiased and on the Fence, or my website, which links to everything, and that is uotf.net. And that pretty much wraps it up for me.
So I got to ask you, without having power, was it like camping? Like, did you try to make the best of it? How was that?
Yeah, it was an adventure. Yeah. I think I had a little more fun than everybody else, but I stayed busy. My daughter, we had been like actually converting a van she has into like a travel home, and so she had a whole like solar equipment kit that we'd never put together. So we like went in and hooked it up just to get some power going, to get fans going, and give us a little project to do while we didn't really have anything else to do. So we had enough power to run the Wi-Fi. So once we had Wi-Fi, like everybody was pretty much okay. Just being able to connect again. So
I bet that's a different world, not having any connectivity at all. Like people, they don't understand until they've been like, I used to take some time when I lived in Idaho, and I'd go out to a place that had absolutely no connectivity whatsoever.
Yeah.
I was off the grid, off the Wi-Fi, and yeah, there's a little withdrawal to it. Not gonna lie, like there's a habit of grabbing your phone and checking, or what's the news, or what's the weather, but after a while, it becomes really, really nice just not knowing those distractions aren't there, just not having them at all. Yeah. It's definitely a return to the ways that some of us might remember growing up in.
Well, you would think it would be nice and quiet and silent, maybe the sounds of chirping and stuff, but all there was the hum of generators for some people had them in the garage or whatever, but I went out in the middle of the night and I'm like, man, you can't even really tell where they're coming from. It's just like almost like the human residence of humming generators. So yeah, it wasn't peace and quiet like you might imagine.
That's interesting. I love it, Shane. So I'm glad to see your powers back on, sir. You did hear that right, ladies and gentlemen. He is designing an IMEC t-shirt. There you go. So keep that in mind and make sure you stay tuned for more information on that. And also uotf.net, uotf.net. You're also doing YouTube still, sir?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Unbiased and on the Fence on YouTube. And ladies and gentlemen, next up we have, you know him as the Quantum Businessman, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Christopher Anatra. How has your month been, Mr. Businessman?
Very busy, but don't you kind of love it when the power goes off? It feels kind of good. Like all the electrical frequencies and all that just shuts down, and it's like, what a relief. And then when it comes back up again, it's like, back up again. So there's definitely something going on with all the power and all that. But yeah, so some updates is that I just learned from Cynthia that How To with John Wilson, they had John Wilson had come to my office last year around Halloween, and he did another segment with me. So for those of you that have seen that on HBO, where they covered the first IMEC conference in Ketchup. He came to my office, and of all things, he was asking me questions about the Titanic. So, which kind of threw me. I thought he was going to go off in a whole other direction, but he just was very consumed with the Titanic and conspiracy theories about the Titanic. So we'll see how that comes out. But I guess by early August, that one of the episodes should be out. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. The other thing is like Mandela effects keep popping off for me all the time. I was looking at like some news headlines yesterday, and I'm like, oh, they got the name of someone's name wrong. But if anyone remembers from the early 2000s, there was a Secretary of State. Her name was Condoleezza Rice, and she worked with George W. Bush. I was looking at her name, and I'm like, that's not right. So, Heather, can you bring up that Wikipedia page of Condoleezza Rice so people can actually see the spelling and just confirm if I'm kind of getting this right? It looks like there's too many Z's there. The E's and the T's are like throwing me off. Am I the only one?
No, you're not the only one. That looks way wrong. I mean,
too many E's, too many Z's, too many letters all together.
Yeah. So when we have a name change, like what does that specify? Like what does that actually mean? And I think that maybe we could agree, or some of us could agree, that we're in another timeline. We may be dealing with another version of Condoleezza Rice, because in this particular timeline version, her name is different. So she could have a slightly different personality than the Condoleezza Rice that some of us may have known from the past or seen that was on the news all the time. So yeah, usually those name changes are a sign that something has changed for them or their DNA history or something like that. So that's the first thing. Mandela effects nonstop, going off the charts. They won't let up. And I'll just add one more thing, and that is that for the IMEC conference, part of what I'm doing is a presentation to decode the hidden meanings of Mandela effects. So what I started to do is I started to decode the popular one about the cornucopia missing from the fruit of the loom, that was on the label, in our underwear that so many people remember. What could that mean? What does it mean if the cornucopia has been removed? Is that good? Is that bad? What's the hidden meaning? So I'll give you guys a couple of clues. I haven't tuned into it completely yet, but basically the cornucopia means horn of plenty, right? So a horn could be like a horn. In this case, it could be like the horn of a goat is what it's based off of. Or it could be a musical instrument, is also considered a horn. And what does a horn do? A horn can emit a frequency, a vibration to make a certain sound. So sometimes when you look at these Mandela effects, like the frequencies of the words start to give us a clue. And then that label in our underwear was around our waistband. And waist could be spelled W-A-I-S-T or W-A-S-T-E, as in to waste something. So these are some of the clues, as well as the colors of the fruit. You've got the red apples, the yellow gooseberries, right? Who eats gooseberries anymore? Purple grapes and green grapes. And what does that fruit indicate? So this will be an example about how you can start to piece together, are we getting messages from a benefactor, trying to let us know what's going on in the reality? So that's one of the things I'll be working on decoding. Lastly, I'll just say that I released Act 9 of Symphony of Realities. It's called Amnesia, and it's going to be broken into 3 parts. I released the first part already, and the other parts people are going to find very fascinating. I kind of go way out there on a limb. If you want to start to have your consciousness like way out expanded to what the possibilities may be, definitely keep an eye out for it. So part 1's released. Part 2 will probably be released next week or maybe the week after. So yeah, that's going on with me. Jerry, what about you?
That is wonderful, my friend. I have had an incredibly exciting month. All right, Heather, go ahead and pull that in here in just a moment. I'm going to ask you to cue that up on screen for me there. I guess I'm over here in the private chat for those listening, wonder what is he talking about. But I have had a huge thing going on at the ripinrabbithole.com, ladies and gentlemen, where you can find me every week, twice a week. We do the Dark Wolf's Den radio show over there. Of course, we do the Way Out Wednesdays, where we discuss the paranormal. Thank you, ma'am. And we have also the Freedom Report News Thursdays. Well, we were speaking here on IMEC about merch. Shane's working on our IMEC merch. Well, I've had my own merch rollout, ladies and gentlemen. I've got a couple different things that I would like to talk about real quick. I do apologize. I know this is the IMEC conference, but given the opportunity, I do want to brag just a little bit. We have the tumblers available over there for sale, ladies and gentlemen. The Dark Wolf's Den radio show, Freedom Report News tumblers. We got the regular, we have the glow in the dark, we have one that comes with a Bluetooth speaker you can literally put on the bottom. It is a chargeable Bluetooth speaker. It is top notch, absolutely amazing. Different prices for each one, and they're fully interactive with our show with this special QR code. The only artist I know or entertainer person I know that it has an interactive real-time merchandise. So I can take this QR code. I have full control of the back end of this. I can make it a poll. I can make it a coupon. I can make it anything I want it to do. I can make it do. And it is fully interactive in real time with our show over on the ripinrabbithole.com. So definitely something we could look into, something I want to look into for IMEC also, something we can definitely have a great time with. Perhaps we could do some QR coding and give you guys a special picture for those that have the merchandise, a special picture of one of the sponsors or something to that effect. Go ahead, Chris.
I have a question. So if you got a Bluetooth speaker on the bottom,
Mhm.
could you do something like cymatics where you can
Absolutely.
find a certain frequency and program the water so it vibrates at a certain frequency and change it every so often?
Yes, actually,
Okay.
you could do that, Chris. That is actually an amazing idea that I didn't think about because these are metal, so they will detect that frequency and hold it through the entire thing too.
Cool.
So yeah, that is awesome. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's cool.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Even better reason. So we've got the tumblers available for those who like something maybe a little stronger than Monster or Coke or water. We have the shot glasses available. The Dark Wolf's Den Freedom Report News shot glasses also with the special QR code availability on them. Once again, real-time interactivity. We've got a lot more stuff coming from T-shirts to coasters, car cozies, can koozies. We've got it all, ladies and gentlemen. It's all got our special QR code on it. So thank you, team, for allowing me that bit of advertisement time. Also, one more thing I'd like to mention. Heather, go ahead and pull that on screen now if you would. I have put together a course, a learning course. This is me. This is not the International Mandela Effect Conference. This is something I've put together and I have for sale. A comprehensive learning course on the Mandela Effect comes with videos, all the whole 9 yards. The objective is to present the student with a full cognitive understanding of the Mandela Effect. By the end of the course, they should be proficient enough to be a certified Mandela Effect researcher. You'll get a diploma, the whole 9 yards. Student will be knowledgeable and fluent in the lexicon involved with the topic, have all of the tools and abilities necessary to educate others on this topic. The student will have a full understanding of both the skeptic's arguments as well as the believer's arguments toward the validity of the subject. We will discuss the history of the Mandela Effect, the relevance, the theories, case studies, and scientific work that has been and is currently being done in the field, debunk myths and stigmas surrounding the topic, discuss other alternative explanations, many different theories, and finally, the real-world applications and significance of the Mandela Effect. Again, I put this together myself. I've worked on this for quite a good while now, all my sweat and tears. So it is $49. I know, a little pricey, but for everything you get, it is definitely well worth it. So if you're interested in that, please go check that out. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or a person who's brand new to it, there's something here for everyone. I learned stuff putting this together. Go ahead, Chris.
I have a question for you. So how long does this course take? Like, is it something you could complete in a week if you give it time?
So it's approximately a 2.5 hour course. I've got 3 hours written here, but after going through and actually doing all the videos and timing it out, it comes to about 2.5 hours to go through the entire course. I would say 3 hours, maybe if you include the quizzes at the end of each chapter. You have to complete one chapter to move on to the next. So do make sure you're taking notes, paying attention. There's a lot of information packed into some of these chapters. Yeah, so about a 3 hour course all said and done, I guess, with the quizzes and everything. So I would definitely suggest you guys, of course I would, I'm biased. I would suggest that you guys go check that out. That is on the ripinrabbithole.com. You can find it in our store over there, along with all the rest of the merchandise. RIPONRABBITHOLE.com. For those that are going to say, hey, you're just trying to make a quick dollar off the Mandela Effect. No, I have put together a course. I put my time, labor, and effort into this, and as anybody would, you expect to get paid if you put work into something, right? You expect some kind of return. So I'm not trying to get paid off the Mandela Effect for those about to point the finger. I've already thought about this. But I am wanting to get reimbursed for the time and effort that I put in myself for you guys to put this course together. So if you're interested in it, go ahead. Nobody's twisting your arm. Nobody's making you do anything. So I would appreciate if you guys would go over there and check me out. It does help out. I don't get paid, so 1 hour course while driving to the conference. There you go. The crash course. But I don't get paid on radio for doing any of that. We have no corporate sponsors over there. We don't make a dime or a penny off anybody aside from selling our own merchandise. So if you guys want to help support what we do on Rippin' Rabbit Hole, please definitely go over there. We'd appreciate that. Now, I apologize. I've taken my whole time for a great big ad and an infomercial here. So let's get back to the party. Thank you guys. That has been my monthly update.
I think we got a super sticker in the midst of all the updates. That was Morris with a super sticker. Thank you so much.
Morris, you are absolutely awesome. I appreciate you. Let me go see if I can figure out which super sticker that is, because it's not showing on this chat over here. We got the dancing pear. The dancing pear partying his way out. I love it. I maybe try to do the Donald Trump dance or something. I don't know, but I love it over there. Morris, appreciate you so much. $5 American. You are awesome. Once again, you guys want to donate to us here at IMEC. We are a 501c3, and you can donate to us here with the super chats, with the super stickers, as well as becoming a Patreon member linked in the chat. All right, and that is the updates for this month. Thank you, Heather, for pulling that up for me. I sincerely appreciate that. Let's move on now to the guts and glory of this episode. So this is kind of a throwback, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, to the first Mandela Effect Conference in 2019, as I was reminded of right before the show. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this one to Cynthia, and I'm going to step off for just a moment. Cynthia, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. Yes, if you review the video that we posted on the International Mandela Effect Conference channel, we have footage of my second talk at the Ketchum Conference. This is Sun Valley, Idaho, November 2019. And I was talking about the Mandela Effect hero's journey and how the Mandela Effect can save the world. And at that point in time, there was, I think, one microbe that I mentioned that had been found at that time that could decompose plastic and basically help to solve what had seemed previously to be an insoluble problem, that there's so much garbage and trash that's of a plastic nature on the planet that there's no way humans could ever clean it up. That was sort of one of the many problems that seemed overwhelming. And I think I love what the Mandela Effect is showing us, that actually, no matter what the problem might be, there can be a solution that can come from nature, and it can come rather inexplicably and quickly. And that involves instantaneous sort of, evolution. And that was the segue that I talked about, because if you go back and find that video, this is my second talk. It's the hero's journey one. And before I get into the microbes, I'm talking about how there had been some research about Petri dish or microorganisms, some bacteria, I think is Escherichia coli bacteria, that had been able to, in one generation, evolve from being sort of lactose intolerant to suddenly being able to eat what had previously been inedible nutrient agar that these little organisms are put into a petri dish with. That's remarkable, because if an organism can make that kind of a evolutionary jump in just one evolutionary period, like from the parent to the offspring, then it's staggering what the implications are. In other words, organisms, including ourselves, are capable of evolving kind of instantly. It's a huge quantum jump of evolution, not a smooth ramp, but a quantum jump. And that appears to be what's happening now, because now we've got many microbes in this news story here found in the Alps and the Arctic, and they seem like they're able to deal with this massive problem of plastic trash. 5.25 trillion pieces of plastic. I don't know how many pounds. Oh, there it is. 14 million tons added every year. So it's sort of an epic garbage problem. So clearly the world governments and scientists are looking to solve this. Nature seems to have already come forward and said, here it is. These organisms are capable of doing this, solving this. So the scientists at Swiss Federal Institute, they basically located microbes that can digest the plastic at low temperatures. Hopefully we'll soon have the solution for the garbage in the oceans. This was published in the Frontiers of Microbiology, and the researchers identified 2 fungal species in this genera, Neodebrecia and, oh dear, Lachnelula, in particular, as being able to digest 3 different kinds of plastic. So just in that short period of time from 2019 till now, it looks like we've gone from one little plastic-eating microbe to more than one. And it looks like we've got some good possibilities for solving one of the numerous problems that humans often tend to think is insoluble. So, and something else about this whole thing is that indigenous peoples on the planet have long known that all of our best inventions come from original thinking. When they say original thinking, they're not talking about something brand new that's never been there before. They're talking about origin, meaning at the beginning, meaning it's always been there. And so the indigenous way of thinking is very conducive to supporting this idea that all the answers are already with us in nature. And I think we've seen that with Velcro, and noticing that we thought, wow, Velcro, it's invented, but come to find out nature had natural Velcro many, many, many years before. So we could go around. Shane, do you want to add anything? I know you were looking into this too.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because they had found some that would decompose plastic, but they were, I guess, finding difficulty with ones that could handle the lower temperatures. So there was other microbes that would eat plastic, but these 2 particular ones can deal with the temperature, which is really good, because a lot of the waters, the oceans are cold where these piles of trash end up. So yeah, I thought that was good that they had regular temperature ones. They didn't really even bring them up here. So what's making these so fascinating is that they can handle the colder waters.
Yes.
And thanks again to Alicia for bringing this back up to our attention again.
Yeah, brilliant. Really good. And Chris, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I would just like to add that, there's one in the Indian Ocean, there's 2 in the Atlantic Ocean, and there's 2 in the Pacific Ocean. There are these huge garbage patches. The one that is in the Pacific between California and Hawaii is 3 times the size of France. It's huge. So there's plenty for these microbes. There's plenty of food for them to eat. And it's amazing how much trash is out in the oceans, and they're just floating out there. Some people have called them like the 8th continent. That's how much is there. So yeah, so let's get these enzymes going.
Awesome. That is excellent. And we've got to thank you again for Fakudan. For we want to put that up.
Yeah, 2019 Chef's Kiss. I guess that's a mwah.
Oh.
The conference idea to Jerry. Good for you. Good on you, Jerry. Yes, absolutely, Jerry. And thanks for thinking of me to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. It's good to be appreciative. So I think if we don't have anything else to say, let's go on to the next slide, because we've got something super exciting here. Yes. Electric cars in 1910. Oh, good, Jerry, you're back.
And it's an honor to have been a part of this team and to have been able to work with such an amazing dream team. I don't even know what to say. You guys are amazing.
The feeling's quite mutual. Yeah.
And we are literally dreaming right now. So that's the way I feel. So it is a dream. We are literally a dream team.
Yeah.
Speaking of dreaming, I feel like I'm dreaming when I look at this slide. Thomas Edison with his electric car. You heard that right, ladies and gentlemen. His electric car in 1910. Check this out, folks. You're not going to believe this. Equipped with Edison's state-of-the-art battery, the Bailey Electric managed to make 100 miles on a full charge. Tesla owners, can you get 100 miles on a full charge? I know the answer is no. So this was better than what we have today, ladies and gentlemen. This is mind-boggling. In September 1910, he made the electric car. That's amazing. The electric car competed with much bigger petroleum-powered cars in a 1,000-mile-long endurance race. Holy cow.
This is new for me.
Very new for me. Where in the world did this go? How did we go from this to combustible engines and just now getting the electric back again?
Right. And this battery is a nickel iron battery is what it was based off of. So Edison was well ahead of his time, and I was doing a little bit of research into it. It has a life of 20 years. So this battery would last 20 years. You could, when it got fully charged, it would power that electric car to go 1,000 miles. So yeah, what happened? Who took this timeline out? And it's nice that it's coming back in again. Somebody send a message to Elon Musk right away. Look into the nickel iron battery. So yeah, this is so fascinating. And there's a photo that we could have Heather call up. And I saw this. I was attending an online conference for these things called airships, like the Hindenburg type thing, which will be in the future transporting cargo and so forth. And the person who presented it showed a picture of like a little kid charging their electric. This is called the Baker electric car. I think it was around 1905 or 1908. So who knew that electric cars were such a big thing back then?
I did not know this.
What am I looking at here? I feel like I'm looking at an episode of Doctor Who in still frame. Well, what am I looking at? It looks like a Dalek, as Cynthia pointed out earlier.
It does. To me, that looks like a Dalek.
What is this, Chris?
Well, I really can't tell you exactly what it is, but I do know that it was the Baker electric car. And it was manufactured in Cleveland, Ohio from 1899 to 1914. It was a two-seater. It was priced back then at $850.
Well, let me ask you this, Chris. The picture that's on the screen now, what am I looking at here?
Well, I could tell you there's like a little kid charging the car with some kind of a device, maybe.
Charging the car. So this is a charger station then.
Yeah, we should ask Nikola Tesla. But yeah, some kind of I don't know how the power is. I don't know. It needs further research. Got to look at the Akashic records on this one for sure.
I was wondering if you ever run across these little charging units in old homes, like on the East Coast, or where would this have been? We don't have anything like that I've seen in California on the West Coast, but maybe, because we're newer, for the United States, so maybe. Was this something that you'd find in a home? You'd sort of see this little Dalek charging station. Sorry, it's funny.
What is that? Really, what is it? Is that plugged into something?
Exterminate.
It looks really kind of, I don't know. It's kind of
so
like
it's like a little robot from Doctor Who or something. Is that what?
Yeah.
And it's called the
Dalek.
Dalek.
The Dalek is one of the villains in Doctor Who. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I gotcha.
Well, I think it was supposed to look modern, and maybe it's just I don't know what it is. It's not really clear from the picture.
Looks like a vacuum or something.
And what's the woman doing? She's got another device. This is very interesting.
It's like on her cell phone.
Right? This is what we're talking about in this episode. Shifty history. Is this new for anybody in the chat? I don't know. It's all of this is new for me.
Gypsy JJ says, looks like a rocket ship from the 60s movie.
Yes.
Ron says, the child's name is Zap and his brother Buzz.
Oh, those are the Daleks.
So here's
Thank
the
you.
Daleks.
Yes.
From Doctor Who, yes. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate that.
You know,
The Daleks are these creatures that are inside these tin cans, and these tin cans are very weaponized. Laser weapons and whatnot. They want to exterminate everything but themselves. Mandela Nate says Morris.
Mandelinate. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, Chris, you're on mute. Unmute yourself, Chris.
I'm sorry. I just did some research, and that Dalek is solar powered. How did that work?
Wait, which
A solar cell?
wait a minute.
Wait,
one
the
from
charging thing or the
the char-
movie characters?
Yeah, it
The
get
charging
100 miles.
station.
that 1900 photo that you showed us is solar powered.
It says their car is that view of a girl charging the Baker electric car.
What?
The car is charged by the solar from the home. So the
What?
cost to run the vehicle is nothing.
I have never heard of this. Now we're really
I-
in the whole other realm.
It gets more shifty, right? As we
More
keep going.
shifty.
Yeah, and you know
Yeah.
who's got one of these cars right now?
No,
Jay Leno.
he has one.
Said Jay Leno has a Baker electric car, so we should ask him.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Talk about things going back in history that did not belong there at the time. This one definitely takes the cake for me.
I wonder if he drives it over to visit Elon. Just to rub it in his face.
Yeah, this is too weird. So this is going to require further research because I don't understand. I'm just reading something online that says that thing is solar powered, but I don't know that for sure.
Okay.
So
It might have been a retro adjustment, maybe. I don't know.
maybe somebody
Interesting.
time traveled and gave them technology.
Yeah.
Definitely an American creation, right?
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of which, how do you guys remember the Pledge of Allegiance?
How do you
Or-
remember
or-
what?
I was going to say, during the Pledge of Allegiance, how do people remember standing?
What do you do with your hands? You mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you do with your hands?
Well, that's a Mandela effect thing for me because I remember I put my hand on my chest and it's a little to the left, right?
Right. Yeah. So
Well, here's the thing
Well,
about
because
that
that's where
before
the heart was. Yeah.
There we go. That's exactly what I was about to dig into. You beat me.
That's why it's Mandela moment.
is there any other way that you guys remember, whether it's like in the middle or off to the left or, the hand on the chest? Is there any other ways to show your allegiance to the flag?
Yes.
Maybe a salute.
A salute,
Yeah,
yes.
maybe a salute.
Yeah.
I could
Yeah,
see that.
salute.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've seen salute in military.
Yep.
Anything else in the? Let's see.
What about you guys, Chad? Can you think of any other way that we reference the flag, that we salute the flag?
Yeah, because when you guys find out, this is pretty freaky.
Mhm. A respectful salute, mind you.
Yes.
Yeah, a respectful salute.
He's supposed to be respectful.
And this is the way all Americans did it until a certain point in history. We'll go over that. But
Well,
Relatively
Ron
recent.
stands up out of his wheelchair and does something else, but we'll leave that in the chat.
But nobody else in the chat has any other ideas how that may have been? Yeah, we're not reading that one, Ron.
It's a sports gesture, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so let's show it. Let's see what you guys.
Wait. Is this in Germany? No?
They're using our flag in Germany. What's going on here?
Well, that is our flag. Hold up. The Bellamy salute is a palm-out salute created by James B. Upham as the gesture that was to accompany the American Pledge of Allegiance, like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Whose text had been written by Francis Bellamy. It was also known as the flag salute during the period when it was used with the Pledge of Allegiance. Bellamy promoted the salute, and it came to be associated with his name. Both the pledge and its salute originated in 1892. Yes, we did, Rocky. Yes, we did. And it's only going to get crazier from here, I promise you. Later, during the 1920s and 30s, Italian fascists and Nazi Germans adopted a salute which was very familiar. It was basically the same thing, attributed to the Roman salute, a gesture that was popularly believed to have been used in ancient Rome. This resulted in controversy over the use of the Bellamy salute in the United States. It was officially replaced by the hand over heart salute when Congress amended the flag code on December 22nd, 1942, which seems to be a huge year, historically speaking, one of those hub years, if you will. But ladies and gentlemen, do you ever remember learning or hearing about the flags behind Cynthia just keep getting bigger and bigger? It started out a little tiny one. Now we've grown into the massive flag here. I love it. Pretty soon she's going to just be wrapped in a flag. That's all we're going to see, just flag on the screen, which is no problem with me. But both are very pretty. So either way, do you guys remember a Nazi style or a Bellamy salute for the flag? To me, this is brand new. Cynthia?
It's brand new to me. I've never heard of such a thing, and it seems like we would have heard about it. So I think I was going to take it to Chris next because he's got some great ideas about possible timeline edits. Like this looks like possible chess move area because I have never heard about this.
Yes. So like for myself, like when I tune into this, first of all, when I came across this, I'm like, what is going on? And by the way, this is this photo you see of the kids. There's like many photos of children doing this, military people doing this. It's really mind blowing, but this was the proper way to pledge your allegiance to the flag, to the United States and to the Republic. Francis Bellamy, who wrote the Pledge of Allegiance, on this timeline, he is a socialist.
What? So,
yes.
This is getting weirder.
It's getting weirder. So he was a socialist, wrote the Pledge of Allegiance. And
no way.
Yeah.
What?
I've created videos about like the Nazi.
You're making my head hurt, Chris.
I know. So how do you start to convert a nation, to become from a democracy, a republic, into like a socialistic society? You begin to edit the history, you begin to edit the timelines. So grandpa, grandma, for those of us that are old enough, this is the way they would have saluted the flag. And for those that are younger, great grandpa or great grandma, this is the way you would salute the flag. And if you didn't salute the flag this way, you weren't doing it right. The hand over the heart didn't come in until the end of 1942. So really sometime in 1943, people started to get the memo, like don't pledge allegiance like the Nazis anymore. So now what's interesting, now people can, you can judge for yourself what I'm about to say next. But I first came across this when I was doing some research for my last video related to where I include something about the Nazis and how Hitler and other people in the Nazi party began wearing white uniforms. And I had never seen that before. Like I had kind of briefly covered it before, but now it's more, you can find more of the white uniforms. They're called the summer whites that Hitler and the SS would wear. I guess during the summertime, it was cooler to wear a white uniform than the dark black one. I don't remember that in the historical record. So for me, white uniforms, there's the whole concept of what some people call the white hats and the dark hats. The white hats are the good guys and the dark hats are the bad guys and the gray hats are the ones, the neutrality ones. So is it possible that there was a chess move to somehow infiltrate the Nazi party with like the white hats? And then which obviously didn't work. And then could there have been another counter chess move to be for this Bellamy salute, so that people are getting used to doing the Heil Hitler, but for, in the United States. So it's all very interesting. It's interesting how these timelines work. It's interesting when you start to connect the dots in certain areas that you just ask yourself, like, that can't be, but somehow is. So that's my little bit of a take on this, but it is quite mind-blowing.
I don't even know what to think about this. And I like what you said about socialism. One thing they do, and we know this from historically speaking, when socialists take over a country, they try to destroy the history of that country and rewrite it for themselves. But what if you had a tool that you could literally rewrite history in real time? Could that be the Mandela effect? I don't know. It's just an option.
Yeah,
but I'm not going to say it's impossible.
Yeah, and was there a reason it was stopped there in 1942, 1943? Like, is that as far as that timeline was allowed to penetrate? Could it be that in the future we'll look more at the Bellamy salute and it'll go backwards in time more, or it'll go forwards in time more? All these things are fluid, so kind of be observant. And those of us that see Mandela effects are already ultra observant of the reality and the timelines around us. So it's just something for all of us to keep an eye on, for sure.
I'd love that to ask the question for the chat and also for the comments. Anyone watching this video at any time, do you remember this amendment to the flag code in December 22nd, 1942? Do you remember this Bellamy salute? It just seems wrong. Like, anybody remembering it at all? And if you remember the dates on it, that would be really important and valuable information. And we can be tracking it, like you said, Chris, because this might change month to month even.
And actually, so people know too, the original Pledge of Allegiance that Bellamy wrote says, I pledge allegiance to my flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation indivisible with liberty and justice for all. So
when did the under God get added?
60s, 50s or 60s.
Okay, they added it then. Okay.
yeah.
So it didn't have God at there at first. The whole thing is interesting.
Now, what's really intriguing... Go ahead, Shane.
I was just going to say, I like to go on the record as saying that I think AI might be an excuse for why we see Mandela effects at some point. I can see them using that. Like, history didn't change. AI is just going back and changing every single picture, and because people have thought that, already. But when we see statues in person, like the Thinker or whatever, we can see it. It's still being updated in real time too. But I just have a feeling it could be used. This whole AI changing history thing can be used as an excuse for why we see Mandela effects, to sort of try to debunk it, rather than us realizing that this came along sort of after the fact. What I mean? For those who's just kind of coming into the Mandela effect, they might be kind of experiencing these two things arriving in their reality together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Shane. Because already the AI is capable of doctoring up photos and video and audio and making it sound like someone said something they didn't. And
deep fakes and stuff.
Yeah, deep fakes. They're doing songs. Like I saw Freddie Mercury did the Final Countdown, except he never sang the Final Countdown, but a super fan, now has the singer for Queen singing a song that he apparently never sang. And it sounds like a real song. So we're in some strange territory now.
Yeah, really.
I will tell you, when it comes to World War II, there's been a lot of Mandela incidents around this. Myself, SMQ, and Chick Mandela Effect were looking into specifically aspects of World War II at the time. And lo and behold, the more we would look, the more we would actually find things changing against our side and towards the German side. When we stopped digging, those changes stopped appearing so much. One of the things that we noticed was the Australians weren't where they were originally. They were actually back home fighting on their own front, opposed to being in Europe fighting on that front. So there's been a lot of different changes we've seen surrounding World War II specifically. So I don't know if this is a major connector when it comes to, say, time smear. when something happens along the timeline, you can't place exactly where it is because it's smeared across the whole timeline. You can't point it its beginning point. So it's just something I really find interesting that we keep seeing these World War II German connections come up over and over and over and over.
Yeah, even with the children's school called kindergarten, I always remember it being kindergarten, Garden, which in German means children's garden. But in this timeline, it's always been kindergarten with the T spelling of the German way of saying it. So again, just these other clues about like, did the Nazis understand this? Did they know how to manipulate time? Like, did they know how to do timeline insertions? Did they have help in doing it? One question leads to another question, which leads to another series of questions. So changing the way people like begin to have like a German mindset on things. Hass avocados versus Hass avocados. And I believe Hass in German means hate, of all things. Or Hass is like what we remember the person's last name to be, Haas. So a lot of the Mandela, not a lot, but well, for me a lot, I noticed a lot of German type things going on with Mandela effects.
There's a ton of German connections we found, all the way even back to the Berenstain. I mean, Berenstain is
Yeah, Volkswagen, right?
Right.
Yes.
The logo changing and how the V and the W are now separated, right? Or they were separated before. I can't remember what's what anymore. But yeah, that German car manufacturer that, the Hitler and the Nazis were responsible for, like the People's Car or something like that, I think is what it stood for. So yeah, there's all these different elements that you start. I'm sure this could be probably a complete presentation. Hitler's blue eyes.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Like all different things and put them all together and try to make sense from it.
And I just this last week or so, I heard about something I've never heard about, which are these psychic women in the Nazi regime that were, they had long hair, long ponytails. Have you heard about this?
The Vril.
Yes, I'd never heard about
the
them.
Vril Society, yes.
Yeah. And apparently they came to work on Project Paperclip in the United States after World War II. They were helping to reverse engineer. They were supposedly in direct contact with aliens and extraterrestrials and accessing technology. Yeah.
Yeah, they were accessing information from, I believe, Maria Orsic was the person that I think that it springed off of, but she was channeled information from a star cluster called Aldebaran with the hope of creating a better world, anti-gravity and that type of thing. And of course, what do the Nazis do? They mount machine guns on anti-gravity craft. So yeah, so that all went haywire. So yeah, so there's again
that was new to me just this last month. I'd never heard about them before, never. And so to me, it's like an intrusion into the timeline for me personally. Like, what the heck? What's going on here?
Is that the same lady that was with the Billy Myers guy, the blonde lady that was, or is that a different?
I don't know. I think that was a Palladian person with Billy Myers.
Okay.
And Maria Orsic was Aldebaran. If I'm getting my galactic history correct.
As long as it stays still and stops changing. Also, there's a connection with the Roman salute that you're seeing here, that Roman salute, and also the Romans and the Nazis. And that's fascinating too. Philip K. Dick, of course, was kind of obsessed with the idea that there is this whole Christian Roman situation. And if that could be, if we could choose a reality that was peaceful, he was going with the Christian side, then we wouldn't have the problems, the war and the conflict and so forth in the world that we do today. But I think we're seeing an echo of that with the Nazis, like what you were researching, Jerry, with SMQ, AI, and also you, also Chris, because both of you are looking into that. But I think there's something interesting with the Roman connection. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
That's interesting when you bring up Philip K. Dick, because the way he wrote about the Germans, and it makes you wonder if there's some flip-flopping going on between what he saw and he's seeing it change, and then what these changes we're seeing, because they're sort of in line with that same pro-German, faction sort of change.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe any history, right? It's really,
Right.
it really is. And like when you look into the Akashic records, you start to get a different viewpoint on things. And like for example, I'm gonna say something that's like truly controversial, but is it possible that we'll take someone like Jesus of the Bible, the events of his life were not exactly how the Council of Nicaea in 325 with Emperor Constantine made it out to be? Could his life have been taken from someone else who performed miracles and was a prophet and was a great teacher and was from Galilee and all this kind of stuff? So my question is, do people want to know, would you rather know the truth of what something was based off of, or would you rather believe what you've been taught your whole life? So there's going to be a lot of things in the future where we're going to be questioning things, even how the Bible has Mandela effects, right? So how is something that is inspired by God, if anything, that should stay the same. That should stay the same, right? So we are going to be challenged on so many different levels, but I think overall, when we start to find the truth, it's going to start to give us more peace. And you're like, oh, that's what that was all about. And they perverted it for their own purposes, but this was the true meaning, and whatever it is. So yeah, lots of interesting stuff that's going to be coming down. And I think we're going to start to get to the bottom of truth and what our true history was, which for some it might be difficult to accept, but for others it'll be, oh my God, now that all makes sense. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I personally would rather know the truth. I don't know about you guys. Regardless of what the truth may be, I'd want to know. And Fuck You Then says another Canadian $5. Christopher, we salute you. Thanks for your work.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We salute you.
You're welcome.
That's going to be in my head now the rest of the day, by the way. For those about to rock. Yeah, okay, I'll stop before I break you guys. Sherry D brings up an interesting point. There are more German words in English now. Spiel is a word that I've never heard in English before. I heard it last year for the first time. So another German connection with things popping up in places that they aren't known to pop up. Now, spiel for me has always been a English derived word from German. I used to have to give a long spiel the hotel that I worked at. So there's a whole running joke with that in the spiel that we have to give. But interesting information there with words coming up that is unremembered by some.
I think spiel in German would mean game, though, correct? So it's interesting that it's got a slightly different connotation. Because I'm with you, Jerry. I remember spiel, like giving a spiel, a long talk. But then to think it's a game, that's interesting. Then I think, whoa, that's fascinating. It's a game, like game on. So you're giving, it's kind of like you're gaming something. Hadn't even made that. I'd never made that connection before.
Me either. Now that is interesting. Gypsy JJ says all witches material is pretty much written out since they rewrote the verse that witchcraft is an abomination. But much of the earliest books and prophets and seers, yes, like Christopher said.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Interesting. Very, very fascinating. Indeed. The salute to the American flag, ladies and gentlemen, was at one time a Roman salute, or the Bellamy salute. Bellamy now was a socialist. So many Mandela effects wrapped up into that one, I can't even begin to count them. Plus, you got the Mandela effect on the flag itself, right? We didn't even bring that one up. The red and white stripes, if I'm not mistaken, which one's under the stars?
Yeah, people remember the red and blue being together, but it's actually the white and blue together underneath the blue box. Just like Cynthia's got.
Yeah,
right.
Cynthia, that flag looks wrong.
I know. Well, another one of those Mandela effects.
again, we've got a lot of things surrounding the flags and the countries, and just a lot of strangeness.
A lot of shifty stuff with the whole spiel, huh?
I
That's
like
right.
shifty history. Speaking of shifty history, what is our next piece of shifty history? Speaking of Rome, we're sticking with our Roman theme here. Imperial Roman city uncovered ruins located in the southeast slopes of the Pyrenees mountain range of Spain once formed a massive Imperial Roman city with its own infrastructure, water supply system, sewers, public monuments, and possibly a temple. Experts report that the Roman city was, quote, of urban character, end quote, and featured, quote, buildings of monumental proportions. According to Spanish newspaper El País. Okay, I'm going to pretend that's the way that's pronounced. Despite the vastness and complexity of the city, it isn't mentioned in any historical documents whatsoever, meaning its original name is thus far lost to our shifty history. What do you guys think on this one?
This is super cool. It's really interesting. But it seems like, again, there's this uncovering, this find. It seems like, why now? Why is it being found now? Why wasn't it known about before? I think that's as much, that should be a big part of the story.
A
Like, how could
beautiful
it,
location for a city, though, right?
right? How could it not have been known, previously known about? How could it be concealed for so many centuries?
Especially if it had buildings of monumental proportions. You're talking some large structures.
Right.
Yeah, and it's always been there. So it's the same concept, I think, as like the Mandanimals, where there are these new animals that have always been there that no one's ever heard of before. So when it comes to these ruins or these archaeological discoveries that we're just discovering that have always been there, could it be that they're there because we're going into these higher frequency bandwidth timelines where there's more data, there's more things, there's more animals, there's more ruins. They'll continue to be more. In Egypt, so far, they've discovered at least 118 pyramids. Did you know there's at least 118 pyramids just in Egypt?
No.
Mostly all from the old kingdom. So yeah, and they've always been there. But yeah, so to me, I feel we're going to keep on making these discoveries like more and more and more and more. That's my personal feeling.
I would think there'd be so much pride if people knew about this in the Pyrenees, if they knew, like, this is that great Roman city was here. For it to be completely lost to history for so long is, to me, that's the big story. How did that happen? How did it get left unnoticed all those years?
And it had water supply systems, sewers, infrastructure, the whole 9 yards. It wasn't just some little like hut city that popped up. This is something they spent a lot of time, effort, and money in.
Right. And so I'm just thinking from that, this skeptic position, like what you cover in your course, Jerry, that, from a skeptical point of view, if you don't believe in the Mandela effect, okay, then how did they explain? How did we not know about this? How did that go unnoticed for centuries?
In any historical writings, none of the historians, Josephus, however you say it, or any of the others wrote about any of this. There were a lot of Roman historians. We have a lot of documentation from the Romans in the Greek times.
Yes.
It's how we founded our republic is based on their system.
Yeah, historians would get college degrees specializing in Roman history. They've written books on it. Again, hundreds of years have gone by. Thousands. So how did this get skipped? It's a serious question for the skeptics. If people are feeling like, well, I'm not sure about this Mandela effect. Okay, great. How do you explain this? That's all I'm asking. Because to me right now, the Mandela effect looks like the go-to explanation. I don't even see another contender anywhere near close.
When you have cities literally appear out of the blue that nobody's heard of or knows of before, and this don't even have a name. This is so unknown that it doesn't even have a name yet. Hopefully they'll find some writings in the city that will tell us what they called it.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, just to add some like actual, some historical references. So I did some research, and the Romans actually invaded the Iberian Peninsula or Spain around 200 BC.
Ah.
So we know that Julius Caesar, I think, was assassinated. I think it was in 44 BC. So there was at least 100, like something like this would have been known by Caesar, like in that time period. Because how long does it take to build out a city? Was there a city already there? Did the Romans convert it to make it more modern, etc.? So this is something that, 2,000 plus years ago is a long time, but it's not that long of a time. So, yeah, so I believe that this is something that back then, especially during the time of Jesus, this would have been known about. So
Yes.
now we're just discovering it. And they don't even have a name for it yet, right? They don't even know what to call it.
It's almost like it just appeared on the timeline one day.
Yes.
It's like that jellyfish.
Yeah.
And the many examples we've covered over the last couple of years doing the Mandela Effect Conference.
But this one's a gem. This one's a big story. So thanks to, I think Alicia sent this in. Thank you.
Yeah, and Alicia might be.
Alicia sends us a lot of stuff. She's a really deep researcher. Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say she might even be a speaker at the conference. So,
Hope so.
yeah, we might get some more of these interesting Mandela Effect historian, historical, archaeological, mandanimal, all these things that she keeps finding.
Sherry D says, ME in progress. Wait a couple of weeks and you'll not only see the name in Wiki, but also know who lived there.
And all the books of all the researchers that had specialized in this exact city.
They'll probably say, "You never heard of the city? This is where pickleball came from." Everybody knows this thing.
He was going to kill us.
Yeah, that was pretty
Did you say pickleball? I don't know. See, I don't know if anyone's catching the reference to what you meant.
No, it's an
They're
inside
not.
joke.
That's totally an
Go
inside
ahead.
joke with us.
No, I didn't even know. I just actually saw the email. So
Okay. Do you want to explain it so people know what the heck is going on?
Okay,
Because-
so for
Yeah, I'll leave it
those
to Jerry
who
then.
may not know, there is a game called pickleball. Chris, you didn't know about this until very recently, correct?
yeah, I didn't either. He's not alone.
Well,
Me neither.
Well, pickleball's been around since 1965. Popular in the Pacific Northwest. But I saw this headline about all these people getting injured, like from playing pickleball, and I'm like, what the hell is pickleball? And it's like a combination of ping pong and tennis. But what made it weird for me is that how popular I never heard of it before, but then how popular it became starting in the pandemic. When people were supposed to stay home, all of a sudden pickleball in 2020 started to explode in popularity. So I Googled pickleball near me, and all these pickleball places came up. So yeah, it could be that I'm living under a rock and I don't know what's going on in the world of sports or anything. But yeah, I personally I had never heard of it, but it's a big thing. But mostly since the year 2020, when we're all supposed to be staying home, people were out going playing pickleball. I mean,
That's weird. That's weird.
So that's
So
that's
for
the
those
inside
that
joke.
watch Once Upon a Timeline, Eva plays pickleball a lot. That is like her main sport that she does. She does a lot of it. I had never heard of pickleball until I got to talking to Eva back in the early days of my Mandela research, and she brought it up, and I said, "What in God's name is pickleball? What would that's goofy. What is a pickleball? I've never heard of this." And she explained the game to me and how much she enjoyed it. So prior to that, Chris, you're not alone. I hadn't heard of it without her telling me what it was.
Now, it could be a West Coast thing because Eva's out in California. I'm out in
That would be-
California. So we got the California
That was my
and
question, yeah.
Pacific Northwest too, Washington, Oregon states. So maybe there's an explanation for this.
Yeah, it could be that Chris is living under a rock explanation. Or yeah, but I kind of surprised me how he became so. Became so popular recently.
Well, you hear the name pickleball, it makes you wonder, what does the ball look like? Is
Right.
is it a pickle?
You hit it with a pickle. Like, where's the
You
pickle
play with
come into
plastic?
this?
in the new spelling of Vlasic?
So funny.
Is it a kosher pickle? Is there a kosher version out east?
Kosher pickleball.
New Thanksgiving festivity.
Jerry D says, I used to live in California and never heard of it. So I'm not alone because I've never heard of it either.
Okay.
Other than just recently when it's come up. I didn't know what pickle. And I loved pickles. I think I would have paid attention. Like, what's this game we can play with pickles? You know?
Lisa Rackney says the ball is in a pickle.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Too funny. We're having too much
This
fun,
is
you
now
guys.
comedy hour for that reference
Okay.
earlier. This is the comedy hour.
Right.
Yep. I think we have some serious matter to still cover, though, actually.
Oh, if we must.
From pickles to
Survey says, where do you remember the Titanic sinking? So the Titanic's been in big news lately, folks.
Yes, it is.
I don't know if you guys have been following this sub that was supposed to go down and check out the Titanic wreckage.
Named the Titan. The sub was named the Titan.
yeah. Which is
And that was-
interesting because you know that had that parallel story way back. You guys,
Yeah, it was called the
about-
Titan.
Yeah, and it had
And the ship was
similar-
called the Titan.
Yeah, and it
Yes.
was written. It was like a Philip K. Dick sort of thing, where the book was written before the Titanic actually went down, and the numbers were similar.
Absolutely.
The ship was called the Titan instead of the Titanic, like this
Oh, that's right.
submersible. So
Like
yeah,
predictive
it's
programming.
all
or
interesting stuff, right?
So
it's all interesting.
premonitory.
unfortunately, the submersible did join the Titanic in the bottom of the ocean. But where? Where in the ocean do you remember the Titanic sinking? Was it closer to England? Was it right up against the shores of America? Was it halfway across? Where do you remember, ladies and gentlemen? What about you, Cynthia? Where do you remember the Titanic sinking?
Well, this picture looks wrong. I would say I remember it happened where you'd expect icebergs to be, which is not there. I did not expect icebergs to be there. I guess they are, but we'll get into that in a minute.
That's something else we'll get into in a moment. Yeah. We got more coming on that.
This just keeps unfolding here. This is one of those.
Right.
I'd say that if it was pin the tail on the donkey or pin the ship on the sea, it would needs to be a little to the right. You know, it's up a bit and to the right, not where it is. So more
the
toward
Titanic
the
up
North
the sea,
Pole.
she says, closer to
up,
England, much
and-
more up
north and
closer
east.
to
Yeah.
England, north
Yeah.
and east. All right. So Shane, what about you? Where do you remember, especially based on this line we're seeing on the screen, where do you remember the Titanic sinking?
Well, for me, it's about where, because I remember it being like over halfway, but not quite 3/4. And this looks like 2/3 the way. But what looks strange to me is that there was so much, there's land so close to the north compared to New York. So that looked strange to me because it seemed like New York was the closest land. I didn't remember that being so close there, but it looks like that, whatever land, you said Norway, right? Is that Norway or?
I think it's Newfoundland.
Newfoundland. Okay. Yeah, that's what I meant. Anyway, the distance between that looks like only a third of the distance to New York.
It's like it's almost there. I don't remember it being almost there.
Yeah.
So Shane remembers it being almost there, basically where it's at on the map right
Well,
now.
2/3, a little over halfway at least. Yeah.
So it looks right to you. Yeah.
It doesn't look that bad other than the land to the north being so close.
I think it's moved a lot closer to the North American continent. To me, I think it was just a little bit past the halfway point, not 2/3 point.
Chris, what do you say? What do you think in this? I've got one says it's supposed to be right where it's at, basically. I got another that says no, it should be much, much closer to England and north. What do you think, sir?
I call this a hairball of timelines. Because like part of it is that, you know, I believe there were so many timelines related to the sinking of the Titanic, and you can find the evidence of that related to newspaper headlines. And in one of my videos, I talk about the Titanic and all the conflicting newspaper headlines, you know, telegraph operators, were they getting the information incorrectly? Like they couldn't understand how to read a telegraph. some of the news headlines were that everyone was safe on board, is being towed into Newfoundland. You know, a mishmash of all different things from everyone survived to no survivors. And there are so many other aspects with the Titanic sinking as well. So the location is interesting to me. From what I remember, it should have been a little bit more to the right. But what's also interesting about this, as we kind of briefly mentioned it, was icebergs. So I was, because the testimony from one of the people that was on the Titanic, who was actually part of the White Star, he was part of the White Star Line. He was an administrative official there, gave testimony to Congress in 1912 after the sinking. And they asked him, were you on the extreme northern route or were you on the southern route? And he said, we were on the extreme southern route, basically nowhere near icebergs. So that was interesting. This was the maiden voyage, and they were supposed to be avoiding icebergs at all costs. What's interesting is like now where you can find icebergs. So icebergs.
How far south can an iceberg be seen?
If an iceberg could icebergs.
How far south can an iceberg be?
All the way as far as
I think we have a slide. Yeah.
The latitude of. Do we have another slide for this?
Oh, did we?
I don't know.
We were talking about it. Okay, maybe not.
But as far south as South Carolina.
Do what now?
As far south as Spain. Yeah, it says it's rare.
South Carolina. Anybody over South Carolina see any icebergs floating by recently? Please let me know.
That's what I want. I want to see the picture.
Yeah. It's just like if you Google like how far south in the Atlantic Ocean can you see an iceberg, it'll tell you as far south as the same latitude as South Carolina, which is like to me really surprising. So yeah, so icebergs, where the Titanic sank, what happened with the Titanic, and it all comes down to like who was on the Titanic, who was supposed to be on the Titanic. Well, J.P. Morgan, that was his company, the White Star Line, and then you have other people that were on the Titanic that were against the Federal Reserve, and you've got that whole conspiracy thing that people get into, and because they all perished, the Federal Reserve was established the next year. And then that led to the banking system, which led to printing of unlimited money and blah, 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 which is part of the mess that we're in today. So there's a lot when it comes to Titanic, for sure.
Did anyone bring up the Olympia or the Olympic that got swapped with the Titanic conspiracy for the insurance claim?
John Wilson did when he came, the how-to John Wilson. Yeah, he that was one of the things he wanted to talk about, and how there's that photographic evidence.
This is icebergs off North Carolina 80 years ago. So
wow.
Yeah. It's not South Carolina, but just still.
Cow.
We're not talking tiny little chunks of ice. It's big.
Wow.
Can we go big on Cynthia?
Yes, please.
Yeah. There.
Look at this.
Off the North.
That's crazy. And those are huge.
Darn global warming sending ice chunks down North Carolina. I'd tell you what.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
That is wild. I would never, ever consider that far down for an iceberg to be able to survive.
No, it's pretty trippy. I think if it got that far down, it would be nothing left of it, like an ice cube or something.
Right. You're talking at least halfway to the equator from the North Pole.
Yeah.
At least.
So do you see them up there off the shores of Connecticut?
Maybe now, but I never have.
I mean, you should see plenty up there if we got them all the way down.
Right. It's just like a parade every day.
That's wild. That really
got sailboats sailing out to icebergs and stuff, camping.
Yeah, and if you look at a map, one of the things we talked about on a past open tables was about the Sargasso Sea, which for some people for me it was a Mandela effect. It's basically a sea within the Atlantic Ocean, which is off the coast of the Carolinas. So what happens when an iceberg goes into the Sargasso Sea? So there's like all these different, just I don't know, what is this place? So It's
A
all very
whole new
fascinating.
world. But that is incredible. I would have never guessed that an iceberg could come that far down. And in the reality I came from, I'm pretty sure that wasn't a thing. Then again, the reality I came from, the Earth was a whole lot bigger, so it had more room to move in.
Yeah, why weren't more boats sinking from hitting icebergs,
Mhm.
right? If they're that far south and all the boat traffic is coming in that way to the
Right.
different ports, especially coming into New York, why was it just the Titanic? The Titanic was the only one that hit an iceberg? That doesn't make any sense. Just the numbers don't add up in this hairball.
That should be a nice T-shirt slogan.
Yeah, there you go.
Like what? Love it.
So does our next slide get any crazier?
I believe it does. Is I think we're going to stick in the Carolinas. As we've got one more story coming out of the Carolinas, and it is purple honey. Ladies and gentlemen, I was in Nevada back in April, and I had some of the best tasting honey I've ever had. Come from clover fields. I don't want to say alfalfa, if I'm not mistaken, but had such an incredible flavor. However, it looked like, I don't know, honey. It was not purple and or blue, but this is blue honey. And from the South, ladies and gentlemen, I've never heard of this in my life. With regular honey on the right, purple honey is known to come from the honey bees in the sand hills of North Carolina, but has been seen in other parts of the state. What gives the honey its blue hue? Here's the Mandela part. Nobody has really figured it out. Nobody knows what causes this. So it's not like they have like a blue flower they can point to and say, hey, the bees have been eating off of this, or getting pollen from this. This is what's making it blue. No, they can't find a reason why this hue occurs in this honey. A honey that, I don't know about you guys, as a Southerner, I've never heard of. We know about our honey down here. We got a lot of honeybees in the South. We got a lot of honey in the South. Honey is a staple down here in the South. Shane, you're down in Louisiana. You're even more southern than I am. You know for a fact honey is very much a thing down here, right?
Oh yeah, and it's golden every time. It sounds like the Hagman effect.
Now there is a theory about why it's purple. This is not a joke. This is true.
Okay.
Elderberries. So what they say is that sometimes the flowers and vegetation will dry up, so the bees will start drinking elderberries, and so somehow the elderberry syrup or whatever gets into this. I don't understand the whole process.
But wait a minute, because we've got elderberries in California. I've got some trees just close to my home, and I've never seen any of our local bees produce purple or blue honey. So why would it only be in North Carolina, in the whole world, that this happens if it's elderberries?
This is just a theory, but
Right.
saying that when the flowers start to dry up, the bees are thirsty, and so they go to the elderberries. So it's a theory. It's one of the theories. I just wanted to point that out.
Well, I love the color. If we read into the color, what does purple mean? Because to me, it looks purple more than blue. I don't know why they say blue, but to me, it looks purple, and that indicates activation of the crown chakra, access to the divine. It feels like a spiritual path. So it seems like it's going from the gold into the purple, and it's kind of indicating, if you will, that golden timeline is here and that we have access to it, as rare as it may be. Because I just haven't seen this anywhere. It was a big shock when I first saw this, like purple honey. I've never heard of that.
They say it tastes like grape jam.
Wow.
Oh, it tastes different?
Yeah.
Now,
I've been
I
reading
will
online.
say, Shane, I tried 3 different honeys when I was in Vegas. Same table. The guy had 3 different honeys, 3 different sticks, and each one of them had a very distinct, different flavor.
Okay,
Sure.
I've noticed raw honey is different than like store-bought honey, but I thought it was simply because it was raw. But
It depends on what the bees have been exposed to. So if you have the clover and alfalfa, for instance, that had the best flavor shade I've ever had. Some of the clover, you can taste it in the honey. It's so good. If you have, and I'm going to go a little extreme here, if you have bees that are pollinating in a marijuana farm, for instance, they have a very distinct flavor to that honey. in whatever the pollination ingredient may be, has an impact on the honey they create.
Very cool.
It's fascinating. It really is. When I tried the alfalfa, I was like, oh, that's good. Then I tried the clover. Oh, that's really good. But the alfalfa clover together, oh my God, I made them buy a jar.
Well, I actually heard a fun fact that honey is like one of the only foods that you can just, it will sustain you. Like you can just eat honey alone.
And it never goes bad. It's been found.
Bad.
They found it in jars like thousands of years old, and they've been able to open it, eat it. It's fine. It's an antibacterial, so it doesn't get any kind of a contaminant effect.
Like a natural preservative food.
Yeah, you can put it on a wound if you're in the wild and you don't have anything to treat a wound with, and it'll help prevent infection of the local area.
It also has another effect on the human body. If you eat raw honey, opposed to store-bought, of course, from your local areas, it has the pollens of your local area in it. And ingesting this, especially in these smaller amounts, will actually ward off the effect of having an allergic
Allergies,
reaction. Yes, exactly.
Very nice. It's very nice to know.
So honey's got a lot of amazing properties. It's almost magical, if you will, especially if it turns blue.
Got some third eye honey here, huh?
Got some third eye. Yeah, there you go.
We did have some weird colors here this month. Weird colors.
Purple honey to
orange. Yeah.
To orange blood, to white berries, to orange blood. Wait, what?
Human blood
Orange
can be
blood.
orange.
So it is the iron in hemoglobin specifically that gives blood its red color. We know that iron has that rusty red effect to it, right? The actual color ranges from crimson to a dark brown blood, depending on how oxygenated the blood is, and may have a slightly orange hue. I'm not going to slice my finger to find out, but I'm pretty sure mine bleeds red last time I checked. Not by choice at that time either, but Chris, tell me about orange blood.
Yeah, so the other day I had a friend over at my house, and he helps me with my boys and so forth, gets them to camp and all that. And my dishwasher broke, so he volunteered to fix the dishwasher. So I was like, no, you don't need to do that. I'll just have a repair person come in. And he's like, no, I think I could fix it. So he's in there with a screwdriver and doing stuff. And all of a sudden he stands up, the dishwasher door is down, and I'm talking to him, and I see like this orange fluid starting to pool up on the top, on the door of the dishwasher. And I'm like wondering what that is, because, it almost, if you ever saw like a tomato sauce that has like an orange hue to it, that's what it was like. But it was orange, kind of like my pot back here for my plant. And I didn't know what it was. And I said, what is that? And he's like, oh, like I cut myself, I'm bleeding. I'm like, you cut yourself, you're bleeding, like go get a bandage. And he's like, no, I'm just gonna let it bleed out. I was thinking to myself, bleed out. I've drip, 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 drip. Like, how much blood did you have? You want to like, in any event, I'm looking at it and I'm like, it's orange. And, I never saw blood that color before. So of course I should have taken a photo, but, hindsight is 2020, but it made me do like a little investigation on the internet. Like, is it possible to have orange blood? And like this slide says, depending on the oxygen and iron level in the blood, it could range from dark brown to the bright crimson red. Depends on how much oxygen and so forth is in there. So, and then I saw people online asking questions, what does it mean if my blood is orange? So this can't be the only occurrence of this. So this may be a Mandela effect. It may be related to something else that's causing us to have less oxygen levels in our blood. I don't know. But for me, it's something that I had never seen before. That was a little bit shocking. So if anyone else is observant of this or they've come across this, please let us know. But it was orange.
Or
We
if you
did some
have orange blood
speculating in
yourself,
our.
I would love to know about it too. Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah. Chime in if you have orange blood. We'd like to know. And
Or
we did
green.
speculate a little bit in our green room special about some other things it could possibly be, some other details. So.
Yeah, that's on Patreon.
Yeah.
And my experience, I donate blood. I do my best to go in every couple months, and I've never seen bags of orange blood being carried around. I've seen there are plasma donors, and that looks different. It's not the orange color. It's kind of a yellowish color, but plasma looks different. Red blood definitely looks red, and it just always looks red. So this is very different from anything I've regularly seen. And I think I would have noticed if there was orange,
Chris, if I can get a spotlight on Chris for just a moment. The orange color, is it kind of close to that hue behind you in the flower pot? Was it kind of like that color?
Yeah, that's how I saw it, because when I saw it, like the drip, 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 and was making a pool, I was not thinking it was blood. I'm like, I didn't know what it was, but like that's not the color of blood. So yeah,
it's more like the color of that planter behind you, right?
Yeah, like the color of the planter behind me.
Gotcha. All right, we can drop Chris now. I just wanted to point that out so we can see the planter.
Yeah.
Like if we saw that in a movie, that would not look like blood. It would be like they need to do better special effects.
Right.
I mean, my friend could be an alien, so that's on the table as well. So
he's a Pleiadian.
Oh my gosh.
Or was that the other ones? Maybe that was the tall ones. I don't remember who has the orange blood. No, I'm kidding. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Orange blood. There may be a Mandela effect. There may be a natural cause. We may have spoke quite a bit about it in the green room. So do make sure you are a Patreon member. The only place you're going to find the IMEC Green Room series. That's right. If you are a Patreon member, you get special access to those videos. And only Patreon members. You're not going to find them anywhere else on the web. And if you do, let us know, so we can take care of that problem. I haven't seen them anywhere else anyway. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, what do we have next in our deck? What's up on deck? Chatbot time! Ladies and gentlemen, every month now we like to go over to Chat GPT and we like to quiz it on information always related to Mandela Effect. Of course, I think Cynthia, if I'm not mistaken, had the question this week. Go ahead, Cynthia.
Well, I think Chris typed it in, so maybe we can read it.
So, Chris, what did you type into the chat? What is the prompt that we are working on today?
What are the signs of a golden age? And it's really interesting because...
So tell me, Chris, what are the signs of a golden age according to Chat GPT?
Well, unfortunately, golden mandanimals was not on the list.
Darn it!
It did list seven things. The first one was economic growth, a flourishing economy marked by high levels of productivity, innovations, inventions, blah, blah, blah. The second thing was scientific and technological advancements, significant breakthroughs in scientific understanding and technological innovation. And I think we're going to be seeing that. I think there's going to be inventions that are really already there, but they're going to start being released to the mainstream. Yeah. So there's going to be amazing things in the future, all part of that golden timeline. The third of the seven was a cultural renaissance, a vibrant and influential cultural scene marked by artistic and intellectual achievements. The fourth was political stability, which is something I think we all would like to see, which is not present in our current world at all. Social harmony and inclusion was the fifth item. The sixth was infrastructure development. And that's really important for any flourishing economy, to have a good infrastructure that's affordable for people to go from point A to point B, et cetera. And the seventh was global influence and cooperation. A golden age may see a nation or civilization exerting significant influence and playing a leading role in global affairs, diplomatic relationships, everything is positive. So these are the 7 things that ChatGPT tells us to look for in a golden age.
Love it.
And of those 7 things, how many do you think we've already hit?
We got the signs of all of them. Everything is here, but then it's just a matter of, can you bring that forth? It's kind of like that whole timeline scuffle business going on. Which way are we going to
see our social culture having an overhaul? I do see political turmoil leading in the one direction or the other, either way. But I definitely see from where we're at is kind of a, to use you guys' terms, hairline or hairball of timelines, hairline of time balls, whichever it may be.
Oh gosh.
But we can see how things could easily go down these paths, how we could definitely find ourselves immersed in each one of these as we go forward. It's definitely not out of the realm to say that we are right on a golden timeline and we're heading right down into each one of these list by list. Of course, everything can't stay crazy forever. And okay, I was looking at the screen. We'll hold that to the question time. Yeah, I'd seen a question on the screen, but I'm going to wait. So there we go. That is the 7 signs we're entering a golden age. What do you think, Shane?
Oh, yeah, I think we're definitely on the road there, and we're going to see more. I don't know if we could do a follow-up question, like about what we would see with does it realize that, or can you continue on questioning with it?
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting
actually
to
has gotten to where it remembers its previous conversation.
something about what do you expect to see with the evolution of human consciousness specifically? I'd be kind of interested to hear what it would say about human consciousness in the golden age.
Oh my God. Okay, there's a lot of information here.
Okay, so what was the prompt that you threw in there specifically?
Basically, it says predicting the evolution of human consciousness is a complex and speculative hairball type topic.
What?
No. But it lists 5 things. The first one is expanded awareness. As humans continue to explore and understand the nature of consciousness, there may be an expansion of awareness beyond individual and egocentric perspectives. The second one out of 5 is transcending boundaries, such as advancements in technology, particularly in the fields of neuroscience and artificial intelligence, could lead to a deeper understanding of consciousness. The third is collective consciousness. With the increasing interconnectedness through technology, it is possible that collective consciousness could emerge more prominently. The fourth is spiritual and transpersonal experiences, where that explanation is there might be a growing interest in spiritual practices, meditation, mindfulness, and other contemplative techniques aimed at exploring higher states of consciousness. And the fifth is the evolution of values. As societies progress, there may be a shift in values towards greater sustainability, environmental consciousness, and ethical considerations. So,
wow, awfully chatty today.
Yeah, very chatty today.
Like the answers. Those are great. Gives us something to aim for with how good can it get, you know?
Yeah.
Start thinking
How good
that.
can it get?
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
Next up, I believe we have the mailbag, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, the IMEC mailbag from Bob Logic writes, years ago, I viewed a YouTube video which said to look at the video made by CERN team to see something very intriguing. The video is titled, "We Are Happy at CERN." If you look at the 2-minute 31-second mark, you will see one of the technicians displaying a card saying, "We are happy at CERN," and 2 cards hanging on his neck saying Bond number 1 and a second card saying Mandela. We know that the very first actor to play James Bond was Barry Nelson. Knowing that, the two cards makes the words Nelson Mandela. It seems to have a direct reference to the Mandela effect. I do not think CERN is implying that they are responsible for the Mandela effect. It could be a little joke only from them, writes Bob Logic. So what do you guys think? I remember when this come out, but what do you guys think, team? Do you think that it's a nod and a wink from CERN? Yeah, we did this. Or could it just be a little joke from them?
It's got a vibe of joke to me, although the guy looks a little serious in this photo. But I get the feeling just from reading into his personality that he's he's got that sense of humor, but also aware that they could be doing things that are a little beyond their ken. So it's not knowing for sure, but just kind of revving things up. He's kind of stirring the pot.
I agree, yeah, and I think he's doing it knowing that people are going to be talking about it big time. So
yeah,
and I'll say that I believe Mandela effects have been going on for a long time, right? It's not just a recent thing since CERN was started and all that type of thing.
Well, CERN was started like way back in the 60s now, right?
CERN was, but the LHC was not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we do have, by the way, CERN gets the rap for everything in Geneva, but there are over 1,500 cyclotrons, different parts of all around the planet. And so when I tune into it, I get something a little bit different. So I'm going to kind of diverge from everyone. I'm not saying that CERN is the only thing that could create a Mandela effect, but they could have been responsible for some. The obvious ones, like they invented the internet and the World Wide Web, which I remember that being a U.S. Navy thing. And
wait! I thought Al Gore invented that.
They took it away from Al Gore, unfortunately for Al. But
wait, he used to work at CERN?
Maybe he did.
I guess so.
You better check into that one.
Maybe he did, but CERN, cyclotrons, I call it technological magic circle technology, opening portals, that type of a thing. Now, I covered this a little bit in my Act 8 of Symphony of Realities called Dream On, where I also showed highlights of the CERN Christmas party in 2009, where they're kind of poking fun at people that thought the world was going to end in 2012, in December of 2012. And Heather, let's play a short clip. Okay. Heather, if you have that available, if you could play that clip, and then when it gets to a certain point, I'll just tell you when to stop, if that's cool.
But while she's pulling that up, there we go. Darn, she's quick.
Yes.
In 2009, 3 years before 2012, at the CERN Christmas party in Switzerland, Professor John Ellis played a character, Yucatan Jones, a Mayan explorer. He and other scientists put on a play about the Mayan prophecy and the end of the world in 2012. And yes, it's that same Professor Ellis who held up that Bond #1 Mandela sign in his office. They talk about a Mayan prophecy brain collision being caused by a particle accelerator near Geneva in 2012. I'll let you watch.
Mayan Commission for Human Rights. Contradiction in terms.
Seems to say there'll be a brain collision in the year 2012.
I think you're right, and looks to me like the brain collision will be caused by a particle accelerator near Geneva.
They say it might destroy the planet, or it might not.
50-50.
It's about a 25-minute play, and I'll leave a link below in case you want to watch the whole thing. At one point in the play, all the scientists fall down as their brains get transported from December 2009 to December 2012. Let's watch what happens.
And their brains were projected forward 3 years into the future. And they foresaw what would happen in the year 2012.
What happened? Did the wall fall down? I had a very strange dream.
I don't know. I had a nightmare. It was like the end of the world.
Why? What did you see?
Sarah Palin had just been elected president.
One of the scientists jokes about Sarah Palin becoming president. Maybe she experienced this timeline.
Madam President, here's the miracle you asked for.
It's all
Okay, we could probably just stop it here, but at the very at the very least, you can tell that the scientists at CERN are observant of the way the public is reacting and thinking about them. So at the very least, you could say that, oh, they're trying to have like a little sense of humor about it.
Yeah.
On another level, is it possible that they are doing things and they have been able to figure out how to manipulate the reality to some extent, especially when you can connect these cyclotrons to quantum computers? Can they do timeline edits with them? You know, again, what is this reality that we're in? This, I'll call it the matrix. Is it possible to do these different things? I think from what I've been discovering, I think it is. So, but I want to preface that by saying Mandela effects have always been there. CERN is not the cause of them, but perhaps they figured out how to do it. So that's what I was saying, unless anyone has any other questions. But Jerry, did we get your opinion yet?
My opinion is we have a super chat from the chat over here. $20 from Consciousness Watch. Super sticker says, you are amazing. Yes, the whole team is absolutely incredible. I agree, Consciousness Watch. They are amazing, ain't they? $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Consciousness Watch. You can all make sure you throw your super chat and super stickers in there. Also, it is tax deductible. Keep that in mind. Kind of adds up over the year. Fuck you then has been throwing $5 at a time. He's going to have like $50 locked up by the end of the show. I'm loving it. Keep it up, bud. We appreciate you. We appreciate all you guys. We sincerely do. We completely work off of you guys. It's for you, of and by you guys. We're just the conduit. I think that it is possible that CERN could have. Now, let me caveat that the Large Hadron Collider experiment at CERN could be having an effect on reality. I don't think it's to the point of, say, the Mandela Effect movie, where they can literally destroy the timeline or reboot the timeline or something to that degree. I think that's a little Hollywooded up, as it was meant to be. But now, I don't think they have the ability to create the Mandela Effect. Now, that said, they could be saying many things with that sign. For instance, bond number 1, Mandela. Perhaps that's when they did create the Mandela Effect. The first time they created a chemical bond in their LHC, perhaps they noticed the oddities of the world starting to happen. I don't know. There's many ways to read that. Perhaps it did mean Nelson Mandela. Perhaps it's just a smile, wink, and a nod at us. Hey, guys, we see it too. We're right there with you. We'll continue experimenting. I don't know. As a theory guy, I stay on the fence. I try to be very, sorry, Shane, unbiased about everything when it comes to theories, anyway, as far as Mandela Effect goes. I think it's possible, but I don't think it is our end-all, be-all answer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And by the way, that movie clip of Sarah Palin, that was from this movie called Iron Sky, which is a completely ridiculous movie, but it has to do with the Nazis going to the moon and blah, blah, blah. So it explores those like Nazi timelines. So, and then there's a sequel to it as well. So if anybody wants to see a parody, good laugh about Nazis in outer space, there you go.
It kind of cracked me up, though. I got to say, I did like the spot in their play where she said Sarah Palin won the presidency. Everybody faints again. Like,
yeah.
And something I wanted to bring up.
Hold on, no.
Something I wanted to bring up with that play that they were doing. They were talking about jumping from like 2009 to 2012. They There was a show that came out, I want to say around 08, called Flash Forward. And it was where the whole planet passed out and had a flash of a future date. And with everyone's experiences, they figured out what the date was. But it ended up being caused by CERN, not to spoil it or anything. But I just found that to be interesting because that was before any of this talk. Or, I mean, 08, Mandela Effect wasn't even a thing, really. Or it wasn't even coined until 09, right? So
08 is the 10, actually. 08 is the first time, actually it was coined before that, we'll get to that in a moment, that I experienced a alternate reality mode. That's when I had my friends play the musical personalities. That was in 08. I've told that story 100 times, so I won't retell it here. You want to hear the story, go back and listen. You'll find it easily. Yeah, that was in 08. And as a matter of fact, the term was first used that I can find. Cynthia, I think, may remember this. I hope she does. She was a part of it. In 2000 or 2001, you're going to have to correct me on that date, on the Art Bell show.
Yeah, 01. I believe.
Yeah, it's 2001. Right. So it does go way back. And something about the bond number 1, which I've been mulling over, that first bond is between a proton. It's in the nucleus of a cell. So it's a proton and a neutron. And when you split, when you do an atom smasher, or, you're breaking that bond number 1. So it's a double entendre, at least, the bond number 1. And so it's interesting. I don't know what it means. So just looking at that again, and it keeps popping up like bond number 1. So it's really talking about what holds everything together. And, it seems like that super, super strong force is what holds everything together. The most energy is right there in bond number 1.
There's so many ways that could be taken. I remember breaking that down back when it first came out. Like, there were so many different theories and ideas people had, and they all made sense, including the bond number 1. It's good to go back and look at the old research and come up with new ideas on it, knowing what we know now. Some I might have to start doing, going back to the old research and looking back at it again. Yes. Back to the Uni days, Shane.
Absolutely.
and don't forget too, like, what statue is in front of CERN? Shiva, the Indian god of time and destruction and creation. Why would these eggheads at CERN in their lab coats, like, why do they think it's cool to have an Indian mythological deity statue out in front? Like, to me, that kind of goes against what, science, unless, is it possible that these things actually are things like the whole concepts of gods or being higher beings? Could that actually be true? And could they have been figured out how to tap into that? Have they stolen authority from Shiva that for being able to create these Mandela effects? So there's lots of rabbit holes you can go down with this, for sure. But it definitely keeps life interesting as we're trying to get to the bottom of this. Like, what is this matrix that we're in? Are we literally in a type of mainframe computer? Like, does that sound weird? Like, there's just so many different ways to start understanding how our consciousness works in our avatars, in our bodies, and where do our thoughts come from? Are our thoughts ours? Are they coming from another place? Do we have these things called soul contracts and kind of scripts that we run with limited choices? So this is for content for another show, for sure. But these are the things that I'm always digging into.
And we'll be talking about decoding the matrix in Connecticut. So that's going to be super important. Oh, and I had a conversation with a physicist, another mystic physicist like myself. And when she was a child, her name is Jude Currivan. She's from England, and she saw Indra's net. I also saw Indra's net. I was like, I don't know, 6 or 7. She was, I think, 4. But the point is, when you see this web of consciousness with these jewels, each one of our identities reflected in all the others, that's, to me, a very strong representation of the matrix, but in a very natural form. And it's implicitly part of Buddhism, and many ancient Indian Vedic texts reference this Indra's net. So it's a big idea. They don't call it the matrix, but it sure is reality. And I think that's fascinating. So, and that my podcast will be coming out next weekend. I totally forgot to mention it.
A rose by any other name would smell just as sweet.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you call it, it's still what it is, right?
Yep.
And yes, you said your podcast will be out next week, Cynthia, you said?
Yeah, I think it shows up. Living the Quantum Dream is the name of the podcast. It's on the Dream Vision 7 radio network, local to the Boston, Massachusetts area. And then it's going to get picked up by all the places that carry podcasts. But it'll be broadcast for the first time Saturday, this weekend, I think, or next. What day is it? Time is a blur. But I think I've mentioned it on social media. So I put it on my YouTube page, on the community, Facebook, Twitter, and so forth.
Oh, I've also forgot to mention, we grew up the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. We now on Tuesday nights, as we got a new host over there. Screech Owl Scott is his name. So the animals of radio are growing once again. We're also looking for a female host, Cynthia. Just dropping that out there. Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, like, until Cynthia had mentioned it, I had never heard of Indra's Net before. And I'm looking at
so I had heard of Indra's Net on Star Trek, and that's it. So
I haven't even heard of it on Star Trek. Okay, but just by the way, I'm looking at it and I see these spheres. I'll call them bubbles of reality.
Yes.
Almost like how we're existing in our own universe, and then we're co-creating this reality together.
Yes.
Yeah. So I can't wait to listen to the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Well, I already had the conversation, but I think you'll enjoy it.
Awesome.
Thanks.
I can't wait, Cynthia. That's going to be amazing. And make sure you guys set a note. So where can they find this once again, Cynthia? Dream Vision 7, you said?
Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. They're one of our partners for International Mandela Effect Conference, and they've got some wonderful podcasts there. But mine is on the Living the Quantum Dream, part of the Evolutionary Voices subset of, talking about consciousness evolution. So it's Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, and it's called Living the Quantum Dream is the podcast, and they'll be with Jude Curavan. And this Saturday, and then again next Wednesday at 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern and 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you miss it in the wee hours of Saturday, then you can catch it next Wednesday. And then it'll have its own permanent spot on the website.
Cool.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you subscribe over there to Dream Visions 7 Network. And if you're in Boston, make sure you tune in on Saturday. And I think we have just a couple more slides to get through, and we are almost to our final hour mark here at the bottom of our show. So we have a very special thank you for our current and new Patreon sponsors, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, you can only find the pre-show Green Room Conversations on Patreon. That's it. That's the only place you're going to find them. So make sure you subscribe over there. You help us out by becoming a subscriber. You help out going forward, the ability to have conferences, the ability to do so much more for you guys in the community. Golden level, over a year. No, let's start at the bronze level. Let's start with the newcomers. The newcomers deserve to be shouted out first. The newcomers, bronze level, Laurie Glesner over there. And if I say your name wrong, I am so very sorry. Next up, we have Be Free with Steffi B, brand new subscriber, as well as Andy Schwang and A. Thompson. I think I know who A. Thompson is, actually. She's definitely been quite helpful in our research. Silver level, over 6 months subscribed to Patreon with us. We have Allison Eastman, Gail Brown, Louisa Diaz, Teresa Richards, and Belinda Enders. And then our gold level, our over a year. These guys have been hanging strong for quite a while with us. Jason Ram, Jody, Colleen Learley, James, J.D. Peterson, Josiah Boricius, Paul Ellis, and Bo Kim. And a special shout out to Bo Kim. Not going to mention why, you know why, Bo, but we really, really sincerely appreciate you a whole lot, as well as every last one of you guys subscribed over there to our Patreon on series on Patreon over there for the International Mandela Effect Conference. That is patreon.com/IMEC And we have the link on the screen, and I'm sure it is over here in the chat also. Yep, there it is right there. I had a feeling it was going to pop its way over there. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again. You can also hit the chat and the super chats here on YouTube, and any and all donations to the International Mandela Effect Conference are just that, donations, which means they are tax deductible, ladies and gentlemen. So give to your favorite charitable organization, IMEC. We really appreciate it. And next up on the slides, upcoming shows, ladies and gentlemen. IMEC Open Tables Season 3 will be Wednesday, July the 26th, 2023. But I have to tell you, we have a very, very special episode coming up this July.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I can say. Cynthia, I'm going to throw it over to you.
Let's go ahead and say it. I think it's all right. It's going to be Trey Caladan. He's an author. These are 2 of his books about the Mandela effect here. He's also written, he's quite prolific actually, one of the original artists for The Simpsons, which is responsible for a lot of predictive programming theories. He's written all these are fictional books, and we'll have him with us hopefully to talk about some of the amazing things he's pointed out. This is, I don't know if you can see all the post-its I put in his books, but
holy cow.
He has lots and lots to say, and he's very passionate about it. So we're certainly hoping to have a great conversation with him next month. And that's Wednesday, July 26th. Same channel, same place for everybody. So hopefully everybody can join us and ask questions directly while he's with us.
Same Mandela channel, same Mandela time, ladies and gentlemen. Trey Caladan joining us next month. Like Cynthia said, he was an original illustrator for The Simpsons. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard that right. That show, The Simpsons, the one that's been on since we were kids. Yeah. I cannot wait to speak with Mr. Caladan myself. I am so very, very excited. I'm definitely going to do some reading before that time. Also, I've got some books I need to pick up along the way, and I would suggest you guys do too. And next slide, please. We should have submit your questions below, ladies and gentlemen, starting with the question. Okay, so this is a new slide for me. They got me. They've not showed me the slide till just this moment. Congratulations, folks. They got me. The team loves to mess with me. I love you guys. That is awesome.
That was new for me too. I was like, wait, what?
Me too. I've never seen it.
Great job,
Okay,
Heather.
so Heather
You
got one
us
on
all.
all of us. Good job, Heather. It looks great. Looks absolutely amazing. Heather's good for slipping stuff in there. I was like, that issue. Way to go. Wonderful job there. I know she's sitting back there cackling right now, just chuckling. Like she's just laughing at us right now. I got him. I got him. If you guys have a question, do make sure you throw it in chat now. Make sure you preface it with questions so we will know what we're looking for. Like earlier, we had one dropped in, started with question. Do you think, says Lisa Arachne, because of the converging timelines, we see more craziness going on? Are we trying to find out who we are now everything streams together?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point there. There's a lot of, I think the converging timeline concept is a good one that often we do feel, and I think this can go a long way to explaining flip-flops where we see first one situation, then another. It's like we're going in and out of these reality bubbles, truth bubbles, or Wigner bubbles, whatever you want to call it. But these subjective realities, as we sort of go back and forth and as they converge, or as Chris points out, a whole huge hairball of timelines. I'm doing what Jerry did. Oh no, Jerry!
I'm the only one.
Jerry's wearing off on you.
Jerry, I never did that before. Oh no!
Now I'm going to put my hair down.
Okay, Chris is going to demonstrate the idea.
Pull the time balls out of the hairline there.
Yeah, I would just like add to that too, is that, things are changing for sure on the planet, and there's a lot of energy coming in. So some of us are more sensitive to the energy, whether it's from the sun. There's a concept of the galactic current sheet moving through the solar system. Some people call that the purity wave that's coming through. So I believe there's just going to be so many things happening in the near future. It's going to cause people that are not even questioning their reality to question their reality, for sure.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so just be prepared. And one of the best things is like, don't watch the news. Like, don't get sucked into that. Don't take sides.
The mainstream media news.
Right.
Yeah.
Clear.
If you're watching the Schumann resonance is a good thing to watch. Some things are fun. Like we saw that cool pattern with the Schumann resonance.
Oh,
recently.
the braid this month. Yes.
Yeah,
And they just disappeared it and never give us an explanation either.
Yeah, let's see if that comes back. But it's almost like we're standing, like the Earth is like one of those cymatic plates that vibrates at a certain frequency and it causes all the beautiful designs, right? So what do those designs mean? There people were having, like, there was someone that had information from many, many years ago that actually wrote out those exact designs, which I found to be fascinating. So I want to see if those designs, what's happening in the Schumann resonance, continue. Was that a one-time thing? Or will that start to happen in other parts of the world? Because that was from the Tomsk, Russia one, right, Jerry? Because I know you're into the Schumann resonance. Yeah,
that is correct.
So yeah, those were some kind of codes that were being sent out, divine masculine or whatever the codes were. I feel it's like that's black and white evidence that there's something going on, and this world is not what we think it is.
And just when I was bringing that up, I see Melinda Iverson was simultaneously. I think we're just tuned in there because I'm seeing she posted something. Could we put that up, Heather? It's like, I think it's exactly what we're talking about. The font's tiny on my chat, but there we go.
Okay, I'll get it. This last solstice, the Schumann resonance was exhibiting different behavior. Downloads, light codes. Things have felt very heavy since then. Ideas with the ME and Schumann resonance? Go. Yeah,
so I think we're like cleaning out our DNA. And so if people, they call it ascension symptoms like diarrhea, there could be other things like that where we're literally clearing this density. And so we're feeling the density. And then like we're physically trying to clear that density. We're cleaning up our Akashic records. We're cleaning up things that are in our ancestral DNA, things that we've inherited, not just 2 generations back, not just 7 generations, but for a lot of us that have been on this planet for a long time, hundreds or thousands of generations back is being cleaned out so that we can be able to get through this purity wave that's coming onto the planet.
So it's clearing up a lot of shadow energy stuff in the collective subconscious and the collective consciousness. And like, I think that's a good point about the diarrhea. Sometimes it's like a big ugly, as Cliff High would call it. The big ugly is that huge blast of revelation of things that we may not have known about. They may look ugly, but once you recognize that don't take it too personal. Don't get too caught up in the politics of it or the sides of it. Brilliant. So stay above the drama, but recognize there's a purging. But Melinda's she's very sensitive to subtle energies, and so am I. And so I think all of us here right now, we are too. And I think for those of us who are super energy sensitive, there have been some heavy energies. But maybe it is just totally that release. It's been rough. I mean, I've had some bumpy parts of the ride the last week or so. I think you guys probably have too. So if you know that's what she's really talking about, I think. Any thoughts, Shane?
So
Shane went through a whole blackout, but he rode it.
That's right,
like a super surfer would.
Yeah, I don't know. As far as there's definitely something that got picked up on that sensor that we've never seen before, and it's and like Chris was saying, it does seem like some kind of cymatic pattern that we're seeing it in real time happen there. So. Yeah, I don't know. It's I know there's a lot happening. I don't know what that indicates or what it was picking up, but it's pretty exciting to see something so intricate on there.
It felt like DNA activation, like chakra activation at higher levels than we typically recognize. So it felt like it was a tuning point. And then, of course, the official story was equipment malfunction, right? It's like, well, that was a faulty device in Russia.
Well, I don't think I've actually heard an official story come out.
No.
I haven't heard an official like this was this or this was that. They just kind of they cleared the data, they blacked out the data, removed it, and went back to normal operation.
Standard, classic.
No explanation. No, we're sorry. No, hey, we had malfunction. Nothing. Just pretend it didn't happen and keep going.
Yeah,
I will tell you. Go ahead, Chris.
No, you keep going, and then I'll continue when you're done.
I will tell you, to the other part of this question, ideas with ME and human resonance, they are directly connected. With the research that Chick and I did years ago, we found the direct correlation between the human resonance patterns and shifts in the Mandela effect. We almost had it, well, we did have it down to a predictive science there for a little while until, as the ME does, it changed. Now, what I think is there could be, and I need to study this even longer and farther, overall patterns. Perhaps it didn't change on us because, it just changed randomly. Perhaps it changed due to a certain time pattern. It changes to this at this point, then back to that, then back to this. It's something that I haven't dived really deep into on that aspect, but now that I think about it, it very well could be something we need to track out even longer. That said, we know direct correlation between the human and ME does exist. Have you guys, and I have a question for the team, of course, anybody in chat, but especially for the team right now, have you guys seen a difference in your metabolism pattern, by which I mean getting hungry or lack thereof?
Well, lack thereof. I feel like I haven't been that hungry. I don't know how you guys are, but
I've noticed days at a time where I should be hungry, but I'm not. I'll go 2 or 3 days and suddenly the stomach will say, hey, by the way,
right,
should kind of give us up, but it's not like, oh my God, I haven't eaten,
Right.
It's nothing like that.
Right. I've definitely, that's what I'm experiencing too.
Yeah,
Chris, you're nodding along. You agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Definitely my habits have changed. Big, more so like for me, like over the last year, but yeah, food is very, very different. Yeah, I just simply don't eat as much as I used to in the past. I just don't. And if I try to eat more, like, oh, I remember, I eat more at dinner or something, I don't feel good. So it's,
right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll be not even hungry. I'll sit down and eat, and I can eat. I can eat a full meal, but I'm not hungry. It's not like I had that hunger pain that I need to eat.
Yeah.
Right.
If I do it, I'm okay. I can eat. It's not like I just can't put the food in my mouth. Body's saying no or something. But it's not like the body's screaming out for it either.
And that's been recent. That's been this year for me. It's like the last few months. I don't think it was this pronounced before that. So it's a 2023 effect. Love to hear from the chat or comments if people are noticing.
Chat is going wild on this. Yes, says Ron, fuck you. Yes, says Lisa, very hungry. So that's different.
The flip side.
Yeah. Melinda Iverson not hungry. Fuck you then. Eat to live now. Same, less food. Lisa Arachna, it's ups and downs. Things I like don't appeal anymore. I get sick. Sherry D, I can't eat junk food anymore. I get sick, and it doesn't taste as good as before either.
That's probably a good thing.
So these types of things too, could it be that our higher selves or divine selves are like stepping in more and they're helping us adjust our diets? And that whole concept of going from Homo sapien to Homo luminous, crystalline, more of a light being.
Etherean.
Yeah, could this all be playing into these things? So people like the planet's evolving, people are evolving, people are changing. I believe some people are just going to like poof, disappear, that can't handle the frequencies. So yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and I think that's the end of the questions. I haven't seen any more questions coming up.
Was there an earlier one that you mentioned earlier, Jerry? Like way back? I don't know where it went, but
that we had it. That was the first one.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Yeah, I went and grabbed it for Heather. I made sure to get that one.
Nice.
That's the first one we were asked there about the timelines and what was that? Let me find it over here. Yeah, because I know what I'm doing. I promise. I somewhat sort of pretend to anyway. There it is. Do you think because of the converging timelines we see more craziness going on? That was the question right there. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Heather. Always on it. She is on it. She does such a great job. Once again, round of applause for Heather. She's made it through another show. She's held us together. She's played such a great role. She's pulled all the audio clips in, the video clips. She does a wonderful job, guys. I cannot say it enough. I know she hates it when I do this. She absolutely hates it. She gets embarrassed by it. I know it, but I can't help it. I got to give her credit. I don't feel like I do it enough. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of credit, is my credit to give honor to Cynthia Sue Larson, Shane Robinson of Unbiased on Defense, Christopher Anatra, quantum businessman. Happy 4th of July, guys. I cannot wait. Happy 4th of July coming up next week, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any special plans, Cynthia?
Nothing special. Just enjoy the energies. It seems like the energies have been incredible, and I'm tuning into the earth. I'm looking to see what different people are predicting, but I like to talk directly to the earth, to the sun, and kind of tune in to see what's really going on. And I'll continue to be doing that in July. I'll be going to Colorado to Gaia again, talking with Regina Meredith. Plan to check in with the mountains there, see what's lots of theories about what's happening. But I want to talk, when you're in a place and you directly connect with it, you can get direct information. So definitely planning on doing that this month and going forward.
Well, I hope that you have a very, very safe and wonderful 4th of July. Chris, what about yourself? Do you have any plans for the 4th of July, sir?
Nothing specifically for the 4th of July, but in July, I'm going to Ireland for a while. So that's a highlight. I will be back before the next open tables, so that'll work out. So yeah, and keeping busy as always. There's always so much to do, so much for me to do. I can never say that I'm bored ever.
Awesome. Well, I hope you have a very safe and wonderful 4th of July and a month ahead. And I look forward to seeing you in person, at least as close as we can on here next month for the open tables. It's always a pleasure. Shane Robinson, unbiased and on the fence, my friend. If you still have electricity at the time, what do you have any plans for the 4th of July?
I'll be enjoying my electricity. That's pretty much it. Got some catching up to do. Yeah, nothing planned, nothing.
Well, I don't have anything special planned either, but I do get the day off, so at least there's that. I'm sure I will find something to get into, but one thing is for sure, I will remain safe at all costs. With that said, a $20 super chat has made its way in from Miss Melinda Iverson. And we appreciate that. Thanks for being you, says the sticker pair dancing around. So cute. And thanks for being you, Melinda. All of you guys here, we really appreciate it, as well as Ron and fuck you then. Yeah, he gets a kick out of hearing us say his name. That's why he read it like that. Canadian $5 once again says NER. All right. We appreciate that, Ron, as well as Belinda. And let's see if I believe I got a list here actually of all of our super chatters. Morris threw us a super chat, as well as Consciousness.
A whole bunch
Watch.
from Ron. Thanks, Ron.
Yeah.
Ron, you have thrown a bunch our way. We really appreciate it. We appreciate every last one of you guys, whether you're able to super chat or just join us in chat. Every one of you guys are absolutely amazing, and we sincerely appreciate it. Make sure you check out our website to stay up to date with all the information and goings on with the International Mandela Effect Conference. That is IMEC.world. IMEC.WORLD, IMEC World. Our Patreon/IMEC, and our Eventbrite page for the upcoming 2023 Mandela Effect Conference, September 2nd to the 4th in Branford, Connecticut. I cannot wait for that, ladies and gentlemen. The 3rd annual in-person International Mandela Effect Conference coming your way. Decoding the Matrix. We've got speakers lined up. We got more on the way, and we've got more that are submitting applications. I know earlier in the show somebody said they were an author and they would be submitting, so I look forward to seeing the applications submitted from you guys. And it is my honor once again to have spent another open tables with this incredible dream team, and with our amazing chat, and everybody watching at home later on. Thank you also for being here. On behalf of Cynthia Sue Larson, Shane Robinson, Mr. Unbiased and on the Fence, you know him as the Quantum Businessman, Mr. Christopher Anatra. On behalf of all these folks, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. Together we are the International Mandela Effect Conference. And remember, until next we meet, together we go.
Together we grow.
Bye, everybody. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love you.